Hi, Ruby.
Hey girl, hey, what's up? What's going on? What's happening? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Girl, this International Women's Day, I am feeling very womanly, shall I say, womanly. I'm feeling aged and refined and womanly. That's right. How are you doing?
Ooh, I'm feeling like fine wine right now. You already know.
Mhm.
Fine wine, just how I look.
I bet. I bet. See, that's the thing, right? I guess that's the debate of today, right? Which one of us is fine wine? Both of us? None of us? What? What? What is it? What's it
I'm
gonna
gonna
be?
say I'm gonna say we're both fine wine because we're
Okay.
not 25 anymore. We're over 25, but we're not 40, so we're good.
Girl,
But
I'm damn near 40. I don't know how young you think I am, but according to the wisdom of the manosphere, I have surpassed the wall. The wall has sat down on top of me, smashed me into oblivion, and told me I am no longer attractive.
well,
So,
listen, if we go in on that, I also hit the wall at 25 because according to the manosphere, women hit the wall after 25. So I guess we're both wall hitters.
listen, that whole hitting the wall at 25 thing, that's just like people taking things too far. Okay, because how do you hit the wall before you're done developing? Like, 24 years old, your brain's not done developing. 25, you're finally a complete adult. Boom, you're
So
old age. Like,
wait,
what?
hold on. So what age do your brain stop developing? Do you know that? The answer to that?
20, it's 25 years old. Um, yeah. So actually interesting. So women are not done developing until 25, 26 years old. Men are not done developing until their early 30s because their bodies are not done developing until they're about 30-ish. So,
Right. Yeah, because that's
mhm.
why they always say, hey, men are still young at 40, and you shouldn't get married until you're about 40. And women, you should get married between 18 and 25. So it's just like, it's
Right.
crazy.
It's beyond crazy though when we're talking about 25 as the wall. Like to begin with, right? Obviously, I already argue against 35 as the wall, unless someone's literally going to be able to tell me that without me telling them I'm over 35. A, they knew it, and B, they're like, nope. Look at Ruby. She's just dried up, used up. All that. I doubt it. I think that's BS, right? But 25, like that standard that by 25 years old, you've lost all of your youth and beauty as a woman. Like that's just some toxic stuff. Let's be real. That's some toxicity. It comes from the modeling and beauty worlds and whatever that tell you that, once you turn
Yeah.
23, that's it. You're basically, dried up.
Right.
Like,
But what I think a lot of people are going by is the old-fashioned ways of thinking. Like, back in the day, you had a family and everything already by like 20. You had like three kids, you were married, you aged faster because I guess, technology was different. It was a lot of things that was different. So that played a factor in women aging faster. But I will say now, it's like we look young. Like
mhm.
you would never know our age if we didn't tell you. You know what I mean? And especially they say black don't crack, which I mean, I'm not going to really say I agree with that, but black
Mhm.
women do seem to age a little better than other nationalities of women, but they definitely crack. And I know
Mhm.
you have a different opinion. You don't think black cracks.
Well, no, it's not that I don't think black cracks, right? Because here's the thing, right? So as a light-skinned person, right, my
Right.
mom's
Did it.
skin, right, your skin did it. Yeah, my mom's skin is younger than mine, naturally. My mom like is 57, just turned 57, and I'm telling you, that woman, her skin looks like she's like 20, right? She's dark
Mhm.
skinned and I'm light skinned. Whereas and I have been struggling to maintain the black don't crack thing because I'm lighter. And then I have my cousins who are younger than me who are, we'll say, they have more caucasity to their skin pigment, and they already got some deep furrows going, some deep wrinkles, deeper lines going in their skin, even though they are under 35. So
Right.
I do think there's a bunch of different factors that can go into that. But I knew people when we were in high school. I'm not even kidding, who are 16, 15, 14, who had, fine lines in their foreheads and around their eyes and stuff. So is that the measure? I
No, I,
mean,
I do agree with that because my sister's a lot darker than me. She's like that really chocolate skin and she does look young. She's actually older than me. She's a lot older than me. She's 45 in 2 days and she looks no older than 30. And I do think it's because she has more melanin in her skin, whereas me, I'm a lighter complexion. So she may age way better than me. Who knows what I'm going to look by 45? Who knows?
mhm.
But
I think
you're
one
right.
of the factors is dry skin versus oily skin because the darker skin toned people, the darker your skin tone was, the more likely you were to have normal combination or oily skin. And then the very, very white people I knew tended to have very dry skin. And I think
Mhm.
that plays a factor. Um, you know,
Definitely.
mhm,
I said definitely. And the sun ages lighter skinned people more, I would say.
yes, yes. If you're ugly, it cracks. Ace's Sama is hilarious. Okay, that guy's always on something in the chat.
He's crazy. I tell him all the time, you're silly, you're crazy. He say crazy things. Like that's nothing new.
Mhm.
But
Right?
yeah.
He just show up and cause trouble right from jump. It's all right. I see you and I appreciate you. Um, right. But no, here's the thing. Okay. Now, you brought up a good point earlier. So, a long time ago, say 100, 200, 300 years ago, people used to die way earlier. Let's be real.
Mhm.
If you were dying at 45, yeah, by 25, you're an old maid. Like, well
Right.
over half your life is gone. What the hell have you been doing with yourself? Right. This is also why marriage at 12 or 13 and starting to pop out babies then was reasonable because everyone's dying at 35, 40. So 12 is not very young. That's over half your life. Like, so that makes sense. But now that we've extended our lives, yes, through science, technology, a bunch of other things, right? And we're now
Mhm.
living till my grandmother just died at 90 something.
Oh
And
God.
yeah, that's not rare in my family. My great grandmother died. Literally, she was 2 months away from turning 100. On average in my family, we're well past 70, probably more so pushing 80s at least. And that's on both sides, men and women. So
Right.
when you're 80 something dying on average, let's say on average in my family, say 75. You're trying to tell me I'm already on the old side of things at 25? Come
Yeah,
on.
25 is pushing it. I do agree that women hit the wall, but I'm gonna say more around late 30s, maybe 40, for some people. And you can't use that for everybody. A lot of people hit the wall, but like you said you're in your late 30s, you look like you're in your 20s. So not
Oh,
everybody hit the wall. I don't think that applies to everybody, you
I
know.
was gonna say, little Asian girls in the mall freak themselves out when they find out how old I am. I'm not even kidding. This has actually happened. I wished I was recording it. It was one of the best days of my life when these little young Asian girls were
Right.
freaking out when I told them I was like 30. I think it was 35, 36. It was like a year or two ago. And they were like, no way. And they were calling all their friends and be like, how old do you think she is? No, she's not. She's not 22. And I'm like, oh, I was
Yeah,
so fly. I felt great. These little Asian girls thought I was so young.
right. But Asians are another group of people who they don't raisin. You ever heard of that? Asian don't raisin?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
don't. They say young, they look like they're 12 until they're like 80, and then they look like they're 95, right?
oh, yeah, there's no in between. You're
No,
right
there's
about
not.
that.
Right. Watching Asian, like, because I've been watching a lot of Korean TV shows, and like all of the people of various age categories all look exactly the same age. Like these women who are supposed to be grandmothers, I'm like, she looks
Yeah.
about 28,
Well,
right?
it's
Like they,
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, and then I'll go
I
after.
was gonna say they age really, really well. And that probably there's a diet and lifestyle factor. I mean, they do a lot of walking.
Bingo. Yes,
So,
they're very healthy people. And would you say that they age better than black people?
I will say that I don't think they age better than us. If we were to okay, if you were to take people who all other factors as far as health, the proper diet and lifestyle for, the bodies and everything, you put those up against each other, I think Black people age better. I just
Mhm.
think that we're often looking at North America, and how North America ages and affects us. And I'm going to be real. I think we have way more Black folk here in the Western world who fully engage with the Western diet, Western culture, Western lifestyle in full. And Asian people tend to keep some connections to their cultural diet and practices
Hmm.
together more. So therefore, they're less affected by the trash that is Western culture. Go
I
ahead.
I can agree. I can agree with that because here in the Western culture, we eat too much like corn syrup and things that we just can't digest.
Mm,
And you know, I was freaked out when I heard that corn syrup was banned in other countries. They said corn syrup and the dyes, like red 40 and all that stuff that we put into our bodies. And I'm like, well, no wonder they're not fat and overweight like we are. It's
mhm.
definitely the food, it's
Oh yeah.
definitely the food.
Or even in America, there's stuff that's banned in Canada that America can have. So there's a bunch of flavors of chips from companies and stuff like that that we don't have here, and it's because ingredients in that are banned in Canada, so we can't have it. So that's
Right.
a it's a big deal. But another thing. Here's the thing: because someone said it earlier, I think it might have been Stoic one said, "Hey, you
Hmm.
can't change your biology. You can't argue biology." Here's the thing, though, which a lot of people are not aware of. Because I hear people say it all the time. They talk about what? Geriatric pregnancy. Come on, back in the
I was
class. I know
right.
y'all are
I was
seeing it,
gonna bring
right?
that up. I was
Yeah,
gonna bring that up.
I I know you were going to, but here's the thing. That is an antiquated. That's literally it's an antiquated term that fertility specialists, OBs, whatever, they don't actually use that terminology. At least ones that are educated at all don't, because it's actually not valid anymore. That is to say, when you are over the age of 40, right? At that point, yeah, you tend to be in a category where certain factors are difficult for you. For example, you're producing less eggs, right? On
Hmm.
average,
Right.
if you're still producing eggs at all,
Right.
your body either becomes hyper or hypo fertile. That means to say that either your body gets really bad at
Mhm.
holding on to an embryo and developing it, or it gets way too good and it will develop every single embryo,
Right.
even the deficient ones, right? Um,
Right.
but our understanding of science and technology and our ability to, take a look at certain things like, women's reproductive health and organs and whatever has told us that no, 35 years old, you are not geriatric. I know because I walked into a fertility specialist last year with that in my mind. I'm geriatric. I probably only make like half an egg a month. It's just all a waste for me. I wanted kids. I probably can't have them. They're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Well, I'm 37. And that's literally, they're like, and well,
Well, like we said earlier, with the some, like I guess some people can have children and some cannot, and probably most can't have kids after 35 because the eggs start
no,
drying up and
no. You're
no.
talking about after. No, no, not at all. Not at all. People think about it this way, right, Mel? Is you have to look at what is the average age that even perimenopause, let alone menopause, starts, right? Because that's what menopause is. Menopause is when you stop being able to produce children. That's what menopause is. So most people do not go into menopause at 35, not even
No, in the
before.
maybe like in their 40s or early 50s or even late 50s. I guess it depends
Right.
on you.
Exactly. And so that is where people are getting things confused. Right? We think about like, oh, well, you probably can't because of this geriatric pregnancy. No, no, listen. Menopause is the time when you stop being able to have children. And even then, guys, even then, I swear to God, it's as easy as taking a pill these days to restart your period if you've lost it, to restart ovulation if
That's new.
you don't ovulate enough, to push how many eggs you're going to have in a month. Like literally, right? And this is why I said, yes, science and technology does help, but it's helping. The reason why they developed science and technology was not to help women over the age of 40, it was to help women who were 25 and 26 and going through these problems anyway. Like a lot of people don't understand that just because you're young doesn't mean you don't have fertility issues. A lot of women who are young have fertility issues. You know, the average woman in her lifetime will have at least one miscarriage. The average woman. That's not like 1 in 4 women. 1 in 4 women will know that they had a miscarriage because they have it after 6 weeks. So that's normally when people know they've missed a period, blah, blah, blah. But most women will have miscarriages. Like these
I
things
do agree.
happen.
I do agree with that, but it's more like it can happen easier when you're older. Like when you're older, I've heard of older women having more miscarriages than younger women. Definitely.
Well, here's the question though, right? And
Mhm.
it's a big question. People don't think about it. But on average, right, young people, like generally, right, like let's say, Aunt Flo's a little late this month, you just think it's stress or whatever. That could be you were pregnant and then you had a miscarriage before you ever even knew. In fact, that happens a lot. A lot of miscarriage go undetected altogether. But here's the thing, right? When you're older, especially if you are trying to have a child, you are hyper aware. You are looking for a pregnancy. You're finding out you are pregnant at 3 weeks because you are looking to be pregnant because you're, as rightfully, yeah, you're running out of time. You're not in your early 20s anymore, right? So
Right.
is the problem that, oh, well, older people are miscarrying, or is the problem actually that they're just noticing they're miscarrying because they are actively trying to get pregnant?
No, you're right. I mean, I agree with you, but you know, after 35, that's pushing it. Let's be
Is it
honest.
though? Is
I,
it?
I mean, okay, is it safe to say after 40 is pushing it?
After 40, right? Your risks of, and like I said, it has to do with how do I explain this? Okay, basically, right? Our likelihood of creating an embryo that has something like Down syndrome or whatever, that actually doesn't change with age. This is for real. This is the research. Doesn't change with age. So whether you're 19 or you're 45, your likelihood of developing an embryo that has Down syndrome is not actually any higher or lower. Now, what changes is your body's ability to recognize that there's something wrong with the chromosomes inside of this embryo, and therefore to not reach out to it and grow it, pretty much, which is actually what most miscarriages are. Miscarriages are a sign of your body's fertility and health because your body is recognizing there's something wrong with this and I shouldn't grow it because it's deleterious in some way. It has some type of defects, right?
Yeah.
Um, but your body does get worse with age at differentiating, and part of that might just be that it's clinging to, I've got to make some kids, I got to leave some of my DNA on this land, so I just got to grow everything and hope for the best, right? So maybe that's what it is. But what it does come down to ultimately, which is why we're seeing older and older ages of women having children, right, is that the reason why a lot of older women didn't have children before is because they had them younger, right? Like they were having
Right.
their kids. They had three, four, 5 kids at 21. By the time they got to 40, they were done. I don't want any more kids. I literally don't want any more. Please, I'm tired. I've been through that stage. I don't want it. But now what we're seeing is a reversal because we're seeing a lot of women, they're going to school, right? Men and women are waiting to establish themselves financially, educationally, get some stability, blah, 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 before they're getting married. And then once they get married, they don't want to get married and rush into having kids. They want to have some stability and growing your marriage time before having kids, right?
Exactly. So why do these women um spend all of their young early years when they know they can have kids and they have their beauty and their youth and everything? Why do they spend those years going to school, going to college, worrying about themselves? Oh, I don't need no man, I don't want no kids. Why do they spend that time doing that? And then when they get older, now they're getting with a man, and like you said, people want to establish themselves, and by the time they're established themselves with that man, it's too late. They're like 35 plus, and now it's going to be harder to have a baby.
Okay. I'm going to tell y'all something, which a lot of people don't guess. First of all, let's not get it twisted. Most women talk a lot of shit. And I'm going to say it like that because it's true. And when I say that, I mean to say women will say something that they think saves their ego and saves their pride, even though it's not true. So they will say things like, "I don't need no man, and I didn't want a man, and I'm waiting until my education selected. I'm waiting until I find a man who makes this much amount of it." And they're just talking shit. Basically, it's a cover because if they could find a man who was madly in love with them and wanted to marry them, they would probably marry that man. That's the majority. I'm gonna be real with you. So then, what the real question is? Well, then what's really happening? I'm gonna tell you because it happened to me. It happened to a lot of women I know. Okay, we were born into a generation that had a lot of instability, and so what ended up happening is those men, for some reason, they looked at their now established parents and they thought they had to be as established as their parents are now in order for them to start life and in order for them to start a family. It's like they missed the part where their parents were struggling newlyweds with a baby and in a roach motel. They missed that part. They didn't
Mhm.
realize. And of course, everything they hear on YouTube and whatever tells them that marriage is a terribly dangerous thing to do. There aren't really any benefits for men, so on and so forth. So they're not really understanding that, well, actually, you're going to build a lot faster, a lot quicker financially, actually, basically in every facet of life if you are married. Which is how your parents got to that, those married parents. I'm talking about married people who had married parents for the record, because I only dated people who had married parents. So,
Right.
um, right. And so they looked at these parents and they said, okay, well, I got to get there. So I have to be making at least $65,000 to $70,000 a year. In Canada, that's a lot of money. I understand in some places in America it's not, but whatever. And I've got to already own a house, and I've already got to be in middle management. And I've already I got to do all these things first before I even consider investing in a ring and a wedding and a marriage and a wife and a kids and whatever. And that's what ended up happening. So I was really down to get married. I wanted to get married at like 16. I was good. I wanted to be someone's wife. That was my goal in life.
Mhm.
And all of the men I met, they're nice guys, they're stable guys and whatever, but they all thought the same way, which is that you don't get married now and then build together. You build something first, and then once you have it, then you get married to someone.
That's backwards,
And that's
Ru.
what
That's
ended up
backwards.
happening.
That's backwards, Ruby.
You're telling
Why?
me.
I think that's backwards. I think you should find your mate young and build together. Build together
Yes.
and then, and then go from there with the family and everything. I don't think that you should do it the opposite way. That's definitely backwards.
No, all of the research says exactly the opposite. But here's the problem. And it's going to be worse now than it was when I was coming up 10, 20 years ago because of social media. Right. And so here's the problem. It's a double-edged sword. If we're going to focus on all of the detrimental effects of divorce, and that's all we're going to talk about, because that's all anyone talks about, detrimental effects of divorce, right? And detrimental
Mhm.
effects of, hooking yourself to a gold digger, to use, or whatever, right? Well,
Mhm.
here's the problem. People start confusing that with either no positive effects of marriage or detrimental effects of marriage for men. And so now what you've got is this message that's not true, which is that marriage has no benefits to men. And that the only thing that's going to happen is men are going to get married, and either they're going to have no net benefit or they're going to end up getting divorced afterwards. And that's it. They're going to lose out so big. But here's the thing. If men lost out that big across the ages, right? If divorce overall was such a negative thing to men, then all of the wealthiest 50% of the population wouldn't rush to go and get married again once they got divorced. And yet they all do. So that should tell us something. It should tell us, which it does, actually, that marriage makes men 40% more successful, even if they're miserable in that marriage. And that being 40% more successful means that you can do what? You can rebuild a lot faster, even if you lose 50% of what you had. It's only going to take you a couple of years to get that back plus some. Just saying.
Right.
That's what the research shows us this. And where I got the research from initially? A man sent it to me years ago, 6 years ago. A man said, Ruby, you seem to understand that marriage can be a benefit, and I'm going to send you a bunch of this stuff because apparently guys don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're a married woman, so I'm sure you know what you're talking about. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Boy, do I
right?
ever. Right. Now, here's the thing. That's part of the problem, right? So when I speak to men about the benefits of marriage, and about why, in my opinion, I do agree. I know. Start beating me up now, y'all. I know I'm a feminist, whatever. But I do agree. I know I do. I do agree that women get better with age. Now, I know, I'm a feminist. I know, I'm delusional. I get it. But here's the thing, right? When I look at, even remember, I was like wifey, I was wife minded my whole life. But when I look at the woman I was 10 years ago and 20 years ago versus who I am today, I can tell you 1,000%, 1,000% that my husband benefits greatly from where I'm at now, mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually, all of these things that you don't have when you're 22, that you have when you're 30 something.
Wait. So I get what you're saying. You're saying you get better as far as with finances, money, and all that. But I'm talking about looks and, and being able to have babies and being able to get a man, you know, that's what I mean by getting better.
Well, here's the
So,
thing though, right? Because, and now here's a question, right?
mhm.
Gentlemen, y'all answer down in the chat. Okay. You got a woman, she's a 10. Beautiful. She's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful woman. But then when you get into the bedroom, she lies there like a starfish. Doesn't move, don't make noise. It's just, but at least, you get to stick something in her. Right? Or, no, seriously, or you get to pick a cute to pretty woman, right? But she's a sexual dynamo. You get her into that bedroom and you never want to leave, ever, ever, ever. Which one are you choosing to link yourself to for life?
I'm betting that the men in the manosphere is going to pick that dime piece. They're going to pick
I,
that beautiful woman
I
that
want to
cooks
see. I
and
want to see what they
cleans.
say.
All right, put a one in the chat if you would rather have that beautiful woman that's submissive. She cooks, she cleans, but she lays in a bed like a starfish, like Ruby said. Put a two in the chat if you rather have a cute two-eyed chick who does the same thing, but the sex is better. Let's see what they say.
The sex is mind blowing. Because here's the
Right?
thing, right?
But she's old. They don't want an old hoe.
Girl, but let
You
me
know?
ask you a question. No, but
They
you
don't
don't have
want
to be a
that.
hoe. No, no, no. See, here's the thing. Sex, no matter what lies someone tells you, you don't get better at sex because of having sex with more people, right? Because if you have sex with 100 guys only once, you're gonna be as good as a one night stand because you've never learned how to be good at anything because each man is gonna like and want and need different things. So therefore, since you never learn how to accommodate that, you never learn how to read that in, one man to learn how to get better at that, learn how to get better at pleasing him, then in essence, you're not going to be really that great at it anyway. So I'm not talking about being a hoe. It's not about being a hoe.
Oh,
It's
I was just using that, I don't
mm,
really mean a hoe. But it seems like a lot of people are saying too, but somebody want me to repeat that. So I was saying, would you rather have a beautiful woman like 8, 9, or 10? That's really not that great in bed, but she's young, she's vibrant, she's submissive, and all that good stuff.
but she
Or,
lies there like a starfish
but she
in a dead starfish in bed. Okay.
Right, but she lies there, but she's still young and vibrant and all that and beautiful. Or would you rather have I washed up, but older woman, she's older, she does the same thing she do, the young woman, except she's great in bed. Which one would you want to take? The younger woman or the older woman? One in the chat for the younger woman, two in the chat for the older woman.
Well, really, the question isn't even necessarily just about young or old. It has to do with would you rather beautiful or sexual satisfaction? Because that's really what currently what we're really talking about. Do you
And
want
you can
beauty
teach
or
her,
sexual satisfaction? Because
but you
here's the
can
thing.
teach. Go ahead.
No, you can't necessarily. Trust me, you can't necessarily. And this is why a lot of guys, they talk about, needing to test out merchandise and so on and so forth. Because yeah, there is an element of shall we say, chemistry. But there's also an element of like, listen, when you are comfortable with yourself, okay, and this is something that young girls and women tend not to have a lot of, but when you're comfortable with yourself, flaws and all, okay,
Mhm.
Your mind isn't sitting there thinking about while you're in bed, like, oh, wait, I got this body roll. I got to hold myself in this way. And oh my God, do I sound stupid? Do I look stupid? Okay, am I doing this right? Right? Because, like, and I remember being young, and that's literally exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking all of the above. Now, I ain't got time for all of that, right? I'm trying to get off, right? So, no, but like, it really comes down to, listen, my husband must love my body. He's here, right? He wants to touch, he wants to kiss it. Okay, I love my body too. I love me. I love him. And so it's not about sitting there trying to look like, some impossible picture on a magazine cover, right? It's about trying to please him, right? Yeah, I'm going to try to get a cute little angle off here and there, but it's not about a bunch of surface nonsense. My brain isn't in all the surface nonsense. So it actually allows me to be more free and carefree with my body. And it also allows me to be more in touch and invested in what's happening, right? Which therefore gives him a way better experience.
So you're
Way better
saying,
experience.
so that makes a woman better with age because
I
she's
think
more secure with herself and things like that. That's
that
what
is
you're saying?
definitely one of them. I think that for the same reason, women, right, younger women who are still stuck in that phase of youth and beauty, right, like you're chasing it constantly. So it does matter. It matters to you that you still got it when you're walking down the street. Are guys still looking at you the same way, or you still being appreciated the same way? Because if not, then you start feeling kind of like a failure. You start not feeling really great about your looks. And for women, that's very important. What we think about ourselves on the outside, that has a lot to do with how we feel about ourselves on the inside. And how we feel about ourselves on the inside has a lot to do with everything else. Okay. It has to do with our attitude. It has to do with our confidence in other areas of like us jumping in and wanting to cook a 5 course meal, even though we never did it before, and our willingness to try, our willingness to invest ourselves into things and to feel great about doing it afterwards, right? It's confidence.
I know.
Confidence is
I don't, I
really
have to
important.
disagree with you because I feel like you're more confident as a young woman. Because, like you said, everybody's looking at you when you walk in a room. You're real confident with yourself. But the older you get, the more you're like, wow, no one's looking at me anymore. No one's giving me the same attention they gave me at 25. I'm just when I walk in a room, no one notices me. It's just this whole thing. So I think your confidence level will go down and you will wish that you were young again. You wish you still had that body you had. When you get older,
But I
you start
do.
gaining weight. Yeah, but when you get older, you start gaining weight, or you might get sick. Your health might decline, or your
That happened to me
hairline
too.
might go right. But I'm just saying, your hairline or your hair might fall out. So there's a lot of factors in getting
Yeah,
older.
how old are you talking about? Like 70? Let's be real, right? The wall is supposed to be somewhere between 25 and 35. So we're not talking about 70-year-olds who have, early female pattern baldness. Okay, we're talking about 35, 45, maybe up to 45. And here's the thing, right? Because none of everything you're saying didn't actually happen. And not hasn't happened to me, hasn't really happened to my friends, right? So I'm comparing me to me, right? And so I'm going to say at 21 to 25 years old, I was way more self-conscious and I felt super awkward. On one side, of course, I'm a woman, so women like having positive attention, especially from men. We like when the world looks at us and looks at us appreciatively,
Of
shall
course.
we say, right?
Hmm.
But I also felt super stupid. Like I felt like everything I was doing was wrong. Being aware that all those eyes were on me, suddenly I would feel awkward about the way I was walking and where to put my hands and what I'm doing and whatever. And I felt so stupid about the littlest faux pas I would make and stuff like that. Right? Like I was literally making a bigger deal out of everything than anyone else was. Right. But now I don't have that same problem. When I notice all eyes turned on me, I go, hell yeah, girl.
Yeah.
What? And I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna swing their hips extra. And like, no, like, but for real, it has to do with like an internal confidence instead of feeling like I've got to live up to a certain level of attractiveness. Now it's like, it's almost like, oh, yay, people are appreciating my level of attractiveness and just reveling in that. So yeah,
Well,
actually, no, I'm way more confident now than I was.
well,
Way more.
with a lot of women that's older, I do see them trying to keep themselves in shape and eat better and, maybe BBLs to get, what do you call it? BBLs, right? Yeah, BBLs to get their bodies looking like they're young again. So I do agree some women get better with age. It depends on them though. Like you said, you keep your body right and you're not eating like a cow. So of course you're going to still feel confident and look good. But a lot of older women, that's not the case. Being in this space, I've learned that a lot of black women here in the Western society are, what is it, 80% of them are overweight. And the older they get, the worse it becomes, So it's like these women are letting themselves go. So we're not talking about you, like you're just a one off, like you're just a one off. I'm over 25, I'm a one off. But let's be real. Most women in the West don't take care of themselves. They fall off.
Yeah, but then
So,
they look like they fell off at 14. Here's the thing, okay? And this is why we have to look at, with all things being equal. Here's the thing, with all things being equal, people who are overweight, especially super morbidly obese, right? Or just morbidly obese, right? People who are overweight look older. They do. I have seen
mhm,
12 and 13-year-olds who look like they're damn near 30 because of
mhm,
how overweight they are, right? So that's not a case of aging. That's a case of being overweight. And so if you're overweight in 14, 15, 16, 17, it doesn't matter how young you are when you're super overweight, right? You're not going to feel attractive. You're not going to feel confident. You're not going to get responses from the world that tell you you're attractive, right? You're not going to get the outcomes from the world that tell you you're attractive. You're not going to, right? Being a super morbidly obese, right? Being these extra levels where your stomach is wider than your hips, right?
mhm,
That is not attractive to men. It's not attractive to women. It doesn't make you feel healthy. It's a good
uh-huh,
indicator that you're not healthy. So you're going to be out of shape. You're going to sweat from walking to the mailbox and back, which is not attractive because, like the overweight people who their hair is always kind of wet because you're always sweating because everything's always exhausting, right? So that's not an age thing. That is an overweight, out of shape thing, right? So
yeah,
this is
but
why I'm just talking about age. So I'm looking at me. I'm not even looking at 220-pound me at 23. I'm looking at me around this weight at all of the other ages of my life, right? And other people who are in at the healthy weight range at all of the ranges of their life up until, 57, right? I got my mom's and I watched my mom from the time she was 20 until now, right? So what I'm saying is that you're bringing up the weight and all those things, but yeah, but it's the same problem no matter what age you are if you're overweight.
yeah,
You know
but
what I
it
mean?
gets worse when you're older. When you're young, I've heard people say this, when you're young, it's a lot easier to lose that weight than when you're 40 plus. When you're 40 plus, it comes off slower. So that's a factor. And also your face gets a lot fuller. Like when you're young, your face is a little slimmer and you have more your bone structure and your apples and your cheekbones are up and perky and high. But when you get older, those cheekbones fall and the face gets fuller and it's just a mess. It's
No,
just
I
a hot
disagree.
mess.
Here, watch. Look at this. Um, Now who said it? It was here. And someone said, I think it was Dollar Washer, said it. That's why women are supposed to stay slim, so as they age, they fill out. Here's the thing, okay? When women get older, right, they tend
Mhm.
to lose fat in places in their face and whatever, and in other parts of their body, their breasts, their hips, whatever, that actually made them look young because, fat is an important part of the female physique, youth, and beauty.
Mhm.
So actually, as you age, putting on a little bit of weight is to your benefit after you've already aged. If you're over 40 and you put on 10, 15 pounds, you're going to look younger now than the one who didn't. And that's why you see these women who are like 45, 50, who are like, they're really, really in shape, but they also do in the face, especially in neck, look really old because they're lacking fat. And those fat deposits are what make women look young. So actually, no, putting on weight a little bit as you age is a benefit. Now, the problem is when you start off morbidly obese, because if you start off morbidly obese, you don't have anywhere to go. You already have too many fat cells, right there. Your fat cells are way too packed up with fat. And so, like, there's nowhere to go with that. But if you don't start off overweight and then you gain some weight as you age, Actually, it is to your benefit, and it will make you look younger.
No, I see a lot of older women looking like mammies. Come on, let's be real. Looking like Aunt Jemima. Okay. Like I see the total opposite of what you're saying. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
but what
like
did they look like when they were younger?
beautiful. I know a
Oh,
couple of
please.
people. I'm telling you, I know a couple of people who were gorgeous at 17, 18, 19,
I
20,
knew you were going
up
to
to
say that. I
25.
knew you were going to say 17. I knew you were going to say 17. That is not younger. That is childhood.
I started at 17, because that's they think they're grown
Hmm.
anyway. But yeah, like I feel the opposite way. I feel like there's women out here looking like precious the older they get. I would rather lose weight the older I get and stay in shape because that's another thing. You become flabby, your breasts start pointing down. It's just like your thighs, cottage cheese, and you can see the veins in your thighs. It's so much things that I don't want to go through that I'm not going through yet, but I am getting older, but it's a mess.
See, here's the thing, because I'm not fat, right? And honestly, no one I really know is. My mom gained a little bit of weight, but that was after having cancer, so I feel like she gets a pass for that one. Um, but really, most of the people I know are not overweight, like the people who are in my microcosm. Now, with that being said, what they notice is the loss of fat, the loss of fat. That's why Botox, right, and injections. That's why that's a huge industry. That's a multi-billion-dollar industry, even though it's pretty cheap per shot. But why? Because fat. I mean, even your boobs, even the BBL, all of those things is what? It's redistributing fat somewhere else. Why? Because
Exactly.
right, because as you get older, you lose fat deposits. You actually do. You lose fat deposits if you're not overweight. If you're not overweight, right? So you're just a healthy weight, you're going to lose fat deposits where it counts. And then the loss of that fat is what makes you look old. That's
Yeah,
actually
but
what's
I
making
don't
you look
think it's
older
that.
and less attractive.
I
It
don't think it's
is.
the loss. I'm telling you, I think it's the sagging. It's not that you're losing weight. You can be fat. I've seen women with fat faces, but their jaws is all the way down here to their cheeks, to their chin. I don't think it's about the fat. I think it's the sagging that makes you look old. Your
No, see,
face
you keep
start
going back to
pointing
fat
down.
people. Don't talk
Everything,
about fat people. Talk about
everything
just talk
start
about
going
average weight people.
down. I'm sorry,
Talk about
average
average
weight.
weight
Let's talk
people.
about average weight people. Even if
Right.
they're average weight, their face still sags, their boobs still sag. It looks bad. It's not that they're losing weight, it's just that it's sagging.
But do you
That's what
really think? Where do you think sagging comes from? See, this is a miracle of youth. Let me ask you a question. Where do you
Mhm.
think sagging comes from? Like, do you think that because I'm 37, I just magically my boobs just sag halfway down to my belly button? Like, do you think that's what happens? Like, you just magically start sagging?
Well, I don't
No.
think you're that old for the sagging yet. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to say you're like 50 years old, 45, but the wall will come soon,
But girl,
sooner than
that's
you
not
think.
what sagging comes
Sooner
from.
than you
Sagging comes from
think.
this. This is what sagging comes from, okay? Sagging comes from you stretching your skin out beyond its natural capacity rapidly or way too much, right? And then losing all of the stuff that was filling that skin. So whether it was because you became super morbidly obese, for a lot of women, it has to do with pregnancy because your breasts more than double in size during pregnancy, um, right? It could be a bunch of different things, but then you lose all that stuff that's filling the boob, right? And that's where the sagging comes from. It's not coming from fat and or not fat necessarily, right? That's coming from, and because it happens to men too, right? There's actually a
Gravity.
dude on YouTube. His name is Obese to Beast.
Hmm.
Um, and he made his bones talking about weight loss and whatever because he lost a significant amount of weight, a couple, 2, 3, 400 pounds, whatever it was, right? And
Hmm.
he kept all of his excess skin. Um, so even though he's like a bodybuilder and stuff, he actually went and did bodybuilding competitions. He kept all of his excess skin, which like his nipples sag down to his belly button, amongst other places that you can see of his skin sagging, right? So that was because he had way too much fat. It stretched his skin out too far. And then when he lost all of that weight, there's nothing holding up the skin. And he lost the weight. He was young. He was in his 20s when he lost the weight, right? So there's more to it than just it's fat or not fat, right? So when I'm talking about, no, the loss of fat deposits in the correct places in your face and body make you look older, that's legit. Like that's legit. It has nothing to do with being overweight. That's just what it is. Like that's why girls who have baby fat faces, like they look like they always have baby fat in their cheeks, they look youngest for longest. They will be 80 years old and still look 35. It's actually because they have too much fat in certain places, like their nasolabial folds and stuff like that. So when they lose the fat, right, that we're all going to lose as we age, right, they get down to normal, right? So they get down to like the 25-year-old level. Whereas in me at 25 years old, I did not have much fat in my face. Definitely didn't have an excess. So as I get older and I have a very narrow, kind of long face, I'm gonna look old. I'm gonna look older than someone who had chubby cheeks. That's what it is. I'm
I do
telling you,
agree
fat
with
is a
that.
benefit.
I do agree with that. But even if you do have chubby cheeks, those cheeks can fall. Your apples will fall, and you still can look old. So it doesn't matter whether you have a fat face or not. Gravity, somebody said in the chat, is gravity that make you feel old. I mean, make you look old. Whether you're fat, normal weight, skinny, whatever you are, it's gravity. So I have to disagree with you on
No, because
the
here's the thing:
losing of fat
those
cells.
those chubby cheek people who are healthy weight, not overweight, healthy weight, because they were born that way. They were born with the excess nasolabial fold fat and all of that and whatever. That's a different fat than the fat that you get from being overweight. It's a completely different fat. And so no, it doesn't sag the way overweight fat sags. This is a true story. I mean, like literally, it's something you can Google. It's a big thing. This is why they will take those fat cells and redistribute them into other places in your face. Why? Because they do not do the same thing that I'm overweight fat does. And they can actually look at the quality of the fat under a microscope and tell the difference. It's actually a different kind of fat altogether, totally different fat. And so that's what I'm saying. There's more to it than meets the eye. A lot of people just look at the basics, right? They look and they go, oh, well, she's old or she's ugly or she's fat or whatever it is, right? Or she's young, she's hot, she's beautiful, right? They just look and they don't know about all the little things that go into it. They really don't. But the fact of the matter is, this is why women like myself are saying, well, you could try to throw us all away at, 25 to 35. But the fact of the matter is, um, that's how a lot of y'all are going to get fooled into marrying some 42-year-old woman who's claiming she's 27. Because at the end of the day, it's a lot more to it than just chronological age. It is. I'm telling you.
Interesting. Okay, well, let me just read this super chat. You want to start it, or do you want me to start the super chats? Because we take turns.
You go
Remember we
ahead.
said that. Okay. So Game Changer, thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, make it rain. Yes, guys, make it rain. It
Mm-hmm.
would be nice, but I mean, you don't have to if you want to. But yeah, thanks for that, GC. I appreciate it. Um,
Always.
Game Changer said fat is fat.
Well,
I
it's
agree.
not.
I agree, GC. Fat is
Really?
fat.
You like boobs? You
Fat is
like ass? You like hips? You like thighs? Because all those things would not be attractive without some fat. So not all fat is fat. All fat
different
was
kind of
not
fat.
created equal.
You're right. You're right. It's not equal, but that's a different kind of fat. When you're talking about big boobs and a big butt, as long as it's toned and it's not sagging, it's good. But usually when you're fat and overweight, they sag. I don't care how big your boobies are, they're gonna sag, they're gonna fall down. You're gonna get what do you call those? Stretch marks and all that other stuff on your legs and thighs and booty. This is what fat causes.
Oh, you know
You
what's
know?
funny? I gotta point out the obvious, right? Because you have Linda Anderson in the chat. Hey, Linda, what's up? Well, I guess our what? You're done pretending to be my friend again. I don't know how many times we can go back and forth where you pretend that you're friends with me and you're cool with me, and then you turn around and just try to destroy me because I'm happily married and you
Wait,
front in chat rooms
what's
and
going
use pictures
on
of
here?
you that are like 30 years younger than what you actually are like and pretend that's what you actually look like when in reality you just wish you could look like me. Now, with that being said, girl, please stay on topic. Why don't you try to have a discussion about the discussion instead of just attacking Ruby? Or like, can you just not do it? Like, it's been 6 years and nothing you say or do is original. It is really very sad. Okay, I'm sorry, Melody.
No, no, it's cool, but what's going on here? I like Linda. What
Well,
happened?
Linda likes you, but she don't like me. Linda Linda Anderson has never liked me. I have screenshots of Linda Anderson not liking me, and then I have screenshots of Linda Anderson apologizing profusely and wanting to be cool. And I've never done anything wrong to Linda Anderson, but Linda Anderson either hates me or loves me depending on the day and I guess how much alcohol she's consumed. I don't really know. I don't know. But she's telling you to stay away from this demented bitch. And she's meaning me. Just so we're all clear. I'm not scared of you, Linda Anderson.
I don't know
I just
what's
saw
going
Aizen
on.
talk about it. So I called it out because I thought it's funny. No, don't worry. My feelings are hurt. Because like when I say this has been going on for 6 years, I actually mean a solid 6 years. Not bothered at all. Don't worry, we'll talk about it behind the scenes. But I just had to say something because people think that they have me like running scared of them or something. But this conversation should benefit chicks like her because she's one of them people that for years that I was here, she was using pictures of her when she was like in her 20s and 30s and pretending they're like today pictures. And then everyone found out, no, they're not today pictures. They're like, 30 years ago pictures. So when I say, hey, listen, chick, you still got value. Women like you still have value. In fact, if anything, if you had actually bothered to work on your attitude, your femininity, your composure, your self-respect, your respect for others, and so on and so forth, right? Then I could even say that maybe you do have more value than you had when you were younger. In her case, not so much, right? So I guess, obviously we do need exceptions to prove the rule. But in general, right? And let's use some ancient no count person in general, right? Like, okay, Melody, do you think that today you are more or less valuable overall than you were 5 years ago?
I'm gonna say less valuable.
Really?
Because
So,
I'm older. I'm not 25 anymore. So it's
mhm.
like, yeah, I am less valuable. They're right. You lose value the older you get, especially if you're not married, you don't have children. That's a lot of value lost. That's why they say get married young.
Okay, so then let me ask you a question though. As
Hmm.
far as your value as a wife, right? So I mean, your wifely duties, not just obviously, but including, your femininity, your ability to, take care of your man, your ability and responsibility and organization levels to take care of a household, and to manage whatever it is that you need to be submitting to in his plan. And to balance all of that with, taking care of his children and whatever. Do you think your ability to do that has gone up or down in the last 5 years?
Oh, that's a trick question. That's a trick question. I'm gonna say I can still do those things, but that's only because I've always been able to do those things. Because my long-term relationship that I'm in or was in, I've always been that person. So I don't think it diminished. I think it only diminished if you never was that person. You understand if that makes sense? Like if you were never the person who was catering and taking care of your man and stuff like that, the older you get, the worse it becomes because it's like, I don't know how to do that and I'm an older woman. But I
Hmm.
started young. I was in a relationship young, so I do know how to do those things. So no, it didn't diminish. It's the same, I'm gonna say.
That being said, honestly, I can tell you there's not a lot of changes I made until I was about 31, 32. So I
Really?
actually get that. Yeah, no, because here's the thing, right? So there was, as far as my attitude and belief systems, as far as, traditional roles and, taking care of my husband and taking care of the household and, the responsibilities, all of that hasn't changed. My mindset on that hasn't changed. But my ability to regulate myself, for example, has changed. Part of that probably has to do with your out of control hormones, which again only start balancing around 25, 26. That's why I said 25, 26,
Mhm.
fully, right? And but also just there's a certain level of maturity with how I don't even know if okay, I'll give y'all an example. Give y'all an example. Um, so my whole life, kind of growing up, you could very easily hurt my feelings, very easily.
Mhm.
But the thing is I also was born and raised in a family in a community, whatever, where for you to sit there and cry about it made you a punk, made you someone someone people would tease and call weak and laugh at and not want to hang out with and blah, blah, blah. So I didn't want to be weak. I didn't want to be pathetic. So if you hurt my feelings and I started feeling tears, I would get angry, very angry, right? And then I started beating things, right? I see red, right? But really, it wasn't because I was angry. If anything, it was a protection mode because I was so overly sensitive, right? Emotionally, it was very easy to hurt me, very easy. Now, as I got older, obviously, I stopped just, punching things, but I was still incredibly easy to hurt, very easy to hurt my feelings. The
Mhm.
littlest thing could hurt my feelings. And then when I did it, it was like the end of the world, Melody. It was the end of the world when you hurt my feelings, right? So, like, I thought the whole world's laughing at me. You're probably calling your friends so you could all laugh at me. I'm talking about my man here. He's probably laughing at me, calling me a punk bitch and da 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 da. And now you're going to use me. You're going to walk all over me. All kinds of crazy stuff would start occurring to me, right? To
Right.
kind of pile on top of this feeling. And now I can't just do nothing about the feeling, right? Because I'm sitting there looking like a punk, being used, being abused, being all these things. That's the way my mind rationalized it, and I was so hyped up on emotion, right, that I couldn't get past it. Now, why is that different than today? Well, because even today, if all of those things were to occur to me, right, even if it would occur to me, everyone's laughing at me, everyone's pointing at me, everyone's staring at me, everyone's this, everyone's that, right? My next thing is for me to look down on them, not to look down on myself, right? And so I don't care if they're laughing at me. I don't care if you trying to play a game and whatever. If that's the kind of person you are, I'm going to end up separating myself from you at some point, right? Because I'm going to put two and two together, and then you don't deserve my time, you don't deserve my attention, you don't deserve my company, you don't deserve my 100%. But I'm going to put 100% in to every relationship I have. Not just, I don't mean just with the man, I mean with family in general. I'm going to put 100% in, and I'm proud of that. You know why? Because that's my personal code, and I'm living up to my own standard for who I need to be, what I need to be about, and what I need to do. I'm living up to my standard. And so my validation is not coming from the world telling me what I'm doing is good or okay or laughable or not. It's coming from complete and total internal, this is what I'm about, right? And that's the only thing
Mhm.
I have to live up to. And so now, right, even if it were to occur to me, oh, maybe you're playing me, or maybe you're playing a game with me and whatever, I'm not going to lose my shit and start being all paranoid and angry and this and that and whatever. I'm just going to be like, wow, well, I hope that person is not that sad and pathetic, because that's going to look really bad on them. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
that's not, I didn't even necessarily try to develop that mentality change. It came with maturity. It actually came naturally. It was one day woke up and I didn't feel the same.
Right. I get what you're saying. You matured, and that's you
Yeah.
saying that's why women get better with age because they mature. When
Mm-hmm.
you're young, you're dumb. You let everything bother you, get to you. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I do get it. But I wouldn't consider that getting better with age. It's just maturing. But I think we have two different meanings of getting better. Yours is
Well,
maturing, mine is more about looks and the physical, and that's really what women's value is. The value of a woman is her physical.
yeah, but as of right now, right? I mean, we started off at the beginning, so well, yeah, but your physical hasn't, gone down, Ruby. You don't look like you're like your age. Yeah, exactly. So therefore, right? Since I'm taking for granted, in essence, right, that if you take care of yourself, if you don't get all overweight, you take care of your skin, right? You hold yourself well, you live well, that you're not going to look 50 before you turn 30, right?
Mhm.
Because those are things that are within your control. Then what I'm measuring are, yeah, basically everything else about you, your attitude, the way you handle things, your mentality, and whether or not that can be a benefit or not. So that's really what it comes down to. I mean, even when it comes down to, the having children thing. Well, okay, well, can you have children? What age really is it bad to have children at? These days, it depends on the individual. There are a lot of people who stay fertile until 47, 48. Seriously. Right? So it depends on the individual. But what it comes down to, right? What it really does come down to is, okay, do I think that the average, or even a minority, but big,
You went out, Ruby.
especially in this day and age, with the way everyone's raised, have um, a level of maturity or responsibility or integrity or self-awareness or self-actualization or any of the things that I think are incredibly beneficial, being a wife, being a mother. No, I don't. I would be real with you. And I don't think that the majority of us, especially again in this society, the way we are all raised, the majority of us aren't getting that until we near or surpass our 30s.
I get
That's
what
what
you're
it is.
saying. I'd have to, I love you, but I have to disagree. And that's the beauty in our platform. We can disagree with each
Exactly.
other and still have love for each other. But you want to read this super chat?
Oh, it's Al Nixon. Al Nixon's my boy. Oh,
Um,
okay. Right. Al Nixon, the voice of reason. $10. Thank you so much, sir. Oh, glad he found us. It says two of my favorite ladies. Love from the clouds. Peace to the chat, y'all. Okay.
thank you so
Okay.
much. We appreciate that.
Uh,
So real quick,
mhm.
I'm sorry to change the topic again, but Linda, do you want to take this link? I'm gonna drop the link. If you have anything to say to Ruby, you can come up, you can address her, you can let me know what you want me to know. I'm gonna have to drop the link. I'm sorry. Do you mind?
Oh, you know what? Listen, for you, Melody, I will not mind today, but I'm not doing it again. A and B, just wait until afterwards. Wait till after the stream's over because people know what I do and don't do publicly. But I got jokes for days. Um.
No,
So
I
yeah,
want to talk to her. That's the thing. I want to see what she has to say. I mean, forget
yeah,
it. No,
let's
you're
see.
right.
No, drop it. Go ahead. Because here's the thing. If you can find out what her problem is with me, because I can tell you, I can show you all the links from what she said her problem was with me before, back in 2017, 2018, 2009. I can tell you what she said before. Um, right? But yeah, then it wasn't about me. That's literally what she said. It was not about me at all. She's so sorry and she shouldn't take it to that. I mean, et cetera, et cetera. And I told everybody then, no, I don't accept her apology because I think she is fraudulent. And I think at the end of the day, this goes to your point, Melody, that sometimes what happens is we are the only woman, right? Maybe the only light skinned woman
Mm-hmm.
who's in a particular area. And so we get all of the praise, the kudos, the attention
Mm-hmm.
from the men for supporting the men in their goals and in what they're trying to do and what the messages they're trying to get out there. And then other women show up, and sometimes that pisses women off. That's I'm gonna keep it a buck. That's really what I think most of the problem is. And that's based on not just my own personal thoughts and feelings and experiences of observing other women, but because of things she directly said out of her own mouth. So at the end of the day, as Game Changer calls it, that nana envy, to me, it's not super worth acknowledging. It's kind of sad. It illustrates the point, though, that I think a lot of women feel exactly the way you do, where once they get past a particular chronological age, they're just not worth anything. They're not worth as much as they were before, obviously, but they're not worth anything. And so when they see other women who have done better than them, chronologically speaking, um, it hurts.
Right.
That's what it is. And when you don't have the chance to get it back, right? Because if you're past 50, you don't have the chance to get your youth back and do it better a second time, right? You can't go backwards and get yourself a husband in your 20s and 30s when you could still get the kind of man that you wanted, that loved you and worshiped the ground you walked on. But you messed it up like a lot of women. We hear the talk, messed it up like a lot of women these days who sit there and say, I don't need no man and da 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 da, and I'm gonna enjoy playing the field for as long as that's beneficial. And then by the time they wake up and realize, oh, it's not as beneficial anymore, it's already too late. So that happens to women. And when it happens to women, They want to get mad at other women who didn't make that mistake.
So you're agreeing with me. Ah, women do hit the wall. You just said it. Women do hit the wall. You said once you're 50, you can't get the same man you got in your 20s and 30s. So that
Well,
proves
I
my
think
point.
some women can't. You're right. Some women can't. My mother,
That proves the point that women hit the wall. Would you
no,
agree?
women hit a wall, but not at 25, 35. No, that my issue is the age. My issue is the age, and especially as they start lowering the limit, my issue is the age, and my issue is the overall generalization of an age, as though, especially in our community, that
Mhm.
place where it's like you wake up and you look at yourself and bro, you can't compete anymore is 35 and under. For the majority of our women, it's not 35 and under. Like it's not 35 and under. It's normally older than that for our women. Now for
For
other
black
races of
women.
women, right.
Hmm.
For white women, maybe, yeah, I can see why they came up with 35. I'm gonna be real, right? Because I know women that I went to school with and I bump into them and I swear to God, I can't believe we're the same age. But the black women I bump into, no, they look the way I expect them to, like me. So
Okay, well, I'm gonna drop the link and open the panel up now because I want to hear what the
okay.
guys have to say. Is that okay? So I'm gonna drop the link now. So I want to hear you guys' point of view. Do you think women hit the wall, and if so, what age?
Oh yeah, and to be clear again, right? I don't want, please don't come up here and say, well, if I see her birth certificate and it says 35, that's it, she hit the wall because I said so. No, no, no. I want some, if a zombie apocalypse started, okay, I'm being serious. If a zombie apocalypse started, so there was no more ID, okay? You could not use ID or any Facebook looking someone up or whatever to try to confirm if someone's at a certain age or not, okay? So I want to hear about literally just you using your looks, your wits, your intelligence when you look at a woman. Okay. These are the factors you're looking at. When you say wall, these are the factors you're looking at. That's what I want to hear about. Because honestly, I feel like we talk too much about the age, right? This age, this magical age. And it's like, well, if you're that age and that doesn't apply to you, then why would you listen? Do you know what I mean? Like, why would you even try to understand men's point of view when men are saying, oh, once they're past 30, and you look at yourself and you know you can still compete with the 21-year-olds, then it doesn't apply to you, right?
Wait,
So
let me just make sure this is a real person. Hello?
Hello, how are you doing?
Good.
it is. Hello.
So it's
Hi.
a real person.
Good
Yes,
evening.
Okay.
It
yes.
is a real person.
Yeah,
My name
I
is
thought it was probably a troll. You know how it is.
no trolling here. The name is Mr. Nemard, and I'm calling in from Jamaica, actually.
Yes. Yes,
Oh,
brother. Yes.
Jamaica, Jamaica.
Yeah, man. Yes.
Yeah. So
Island.
if I break out in the patois, please don't
Hey, I'm
please
a
don't.
Jamaican. I'm a Jamaican.
She's
Yes. So don't worry
Jamaican
about it.
too.
Hold on. You're Jamaican. Where in Jamaica you from?
Lucy. Most of my
Where?
family's from Lucy.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Great River, so you must know how close that is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
Great River. We're right there, so we're at a Hopewell there, so
Okay, okay, okay.
yeah.
Okay. My uncle's there, but he's with his family because everyone has a different father. So my uncle is in
Jaja.
I think it's Saint Elizabeth. I think that's where he is. I don't know. But
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
somewhere down there.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm originally I was born and raised in St. Elizabeth, Treasure Beach side. Anyway,
Oh, okay.
enough about me, enough about Jamaica.
Yes, yes.
I
Go ahead.
just I just got off of um my platform. I decided to come and give you guys a check out. I really do like the topic. It's a really
Hmm,
interesting topic. And
thank you.
I understand we're speaking about the wall. And
Mm-hmm.
as speaking about that, so as far as reproductive ability goes for women, it varies. But there's a general consensus that between a particular age, it becomes more difficult for ladies to have how should I say well the older lady gets, the more challenges or high risk pregnancies, the more you will have those. So while the age is dependent on a person, you know, the longer a lady waits to have kids, it is the more difficult it will be. And
Mhm.
as far as ladies retaining their looks, especially here in Jamaica, ladies retain their looks until like 45, some 50, and still look really, really good. You know,
Mm-hmm.
some honestly, there are some ladies that are up in age, but they maintain their looks. I think Jamaica is a epitome for saying black don't crack. Trust me,
Mm-hmm.
ladies them look good until even up in their age when they get a certain age. However,
Yes,
though,
sir.
um, as I think it was Sweet Melody just now mentioned, that one of the
Mhm.
factors that determines a lady's viability on the dating market is her age, her beauty, and her ability to reproduce, to have
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
kids. These are some things that men actually pay close attention to. So whereas and let's take out the whole looking at her ID, look at her birth paper out of the situation. If you see a lady and she looks nice, you approach her, you know, and you start having a good time. At some point in the conversation, if the relationship is moving to a space where you're going to be exclusive, you want to go into a serious relationship, these are
Mm-hmm.
conversations that you are going to have.
Mm-hmm.
How about kids? What are we going to do about kids? And if it is past that time for the lady, if the man is not at that stage where he's okay not having kids, that can put a little bit of strain on the relationship. So you do understand that when men would generally prefer, if given the option and all things being equal, men would generally go for the younger, not to say 21, 20-year old after you've passed a certain age, because for a man in his 40s, he wouldn't be looking easily at a 20, 19-year old to date seriously. He would still be looking for a lady, let's say, 35, 36 coming up, if he hasn't had kids as yet, and if kids is a part of what he would like to have in the future. you know. So
Mhm.
to go back to the topic, a lot of women do age gracefully. A lot of women do age gracefully, but as the years start to add up, there are certain physical activities that uh, are going to be less probable.
Yeah, like the face starts sagging, like I mentioned earlier. The boobs start pointing down. The apples in your cheekbones fall. It's not. It's not cool getting old.
Yeah, and,
Well,
and,
now,
and
first of all, though, can I just mention, and I'm a woman of an age, okay? I'm 37. I'm admitting it. Oh, yeah, that's
you're
right.
a
I'm old.
younger,
I'm
you're a
37.
young, you're a younger. Come on, you're
Well,
younger.
according to the manosphere, though, I'm past the wall. The wall already demolished my soul. So what
So
I'm saying is, I went to the fertility clinic last year. I wanted to see, literally, because my whole life I've been told 35. That's it. Now you're high risk. You're geriatric pregnancy. You might as well just throw your ovaries in the garbage. Like, you're at that point, they're just a waste, right? And I go,
Mhm.
and first of all, they looked at me like I was crazy when I said these things. And second of all, man, they checked every part of me. I'm just as young as I was 10 years ago, as far as my reproductive health and age. And she said that's not an abnormal thing to see at 37. It's like when you're talking about 40, that's normally when you see women's now, those types of things really to decrease, right? And so the problem is we have an unfair belief system that because we overvalue super youth when it comes to our image of a woman in the Western world, or women in general, right? That there's something inherently deficient or defunct about a 35-year-old woman. Right. And there's not actually. And in fact, it's only women who have those women who start menopause early, which is not a normal thing, right? Those are one offs, right? That are you're gonna see really decreased numbers at 35, 36, right? A lot of women have delayed menopause where it's the opposite. And they don't see decreased numbers in their mid 40s. And so, I think that's the problem is we're saying, well, yeah, but what about, well, here's the thing, right? The thing is that these days they're looking at it and they're saying, no, 35 is not geriatric at all. There's no difference. When we get to 40 years old, that's when we start seeing differences for
okay, so
real.
all right, fine. So let me. All right, so I'm gonna say two things. One, I believe saying that you hit the wall and the wall of no return at a particular age, I believe that is said for a dramatic effect, first off. Right.
Mm, okay.
Secondly, secondly, I do believe that there are occasions, uh, some women, as they age, they see a decrease in the attention that they are able to get from men.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I believe sometimes it's not a case that there's a cutoff, a hard cutoff point as far as reproduction goes. But however, and the viability on the dating market as well is based on how much male attention as a woman you can capture. So it can be a case where the the way that you use to stop traffic, you see the traffic doesn't stop for you anymore to that extent as when you were, let's say, between 21 and 25. So I don't believe it's a
Agreed.
I don't believe it's a case where it's a cutoff point, because as you mentioned, um, every person is unique, and everyone will have a different road to travel on a physical level, on a developmental level, and so on. But I believe it's about how much male attention can you capture as you go up. And I believe as you go up in age, do you see this number of attention, this amount of attention being paid to you can start to decrease. So I believe
So let
that
me ask you
is,
a question, sir. Let me ask you a question.
yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So then, would a woman who still gets the same amount of attention she did in her, let's say, young to mid 20s, right? But obviously she has matured and mentally, emotionally, all those other factors, she has become much better. She's improved. Is it invalid for her to say that she has improved with age?
Okay, so it depends on how you're looking at it. If you're looking at it from improving with age from a man's perspective, then it will be different than if you're looking at it as improving with age from a female's perspective. Because here's the thing that many of us will not want to admit, even as
Hmm.
males. One of the defining factors when a man sees a woman, one of the first thing comes to his mind is, would I have sex with this lady? Would I take her to bed? And
Hmm.
just about every interaction stems from that.
Hmm.
How
Mhm.
attractive do I find her?
Right.
Is it someone that I would marry? And this is something that you would learn over a long-term period. Is it someone that
Hmm.
I would have sex with? If the answer is yes, then you make the approach. And then from there, you start to find out other attributes that she has. But the
Hmm.
first and most defining aspect of a male approaching a female would be her physical attributes. Now, as I mentioned before, some women do lose this at a different level than others. Some women
Hmm.
can be 50 and still look 25. I am not going to
Mhm.
discount that, you know. But
Yeah,
I
Sister
believe,
Asada Muhammad. She's up there. I know I can't even remember her age, but she looks about
tr-
25. It's
trust me,
crazy. Yeah.
she,
Hmm.
yep, she looks about 25.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Sister Asada Muhammad, man. She looks
Exactly. She
young.
looks,
Oh my God.
yeah, she's hot.
Yeah.
She's hot.
Black
Yeah,
women.
she's
What's the
gorgeously
actress?
young.
What's the actress's name? The black actress. She's like 60 something. She still looks like she's 30,
Y-
25.
yes.
What's her name?
So,
Or
Hmm.
70. You know what
so,
I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah.
I'm
So
not
I
good
believe,
with pop culture, but here, because this is why I'm asking, right? Because overall, right, here's the thing. That's why I said if you don't know, if you didn't have ID or whatever, then you're gonna go by, as you said, your general level of attraction to the woman, right? So here's the thing, though, and I believe that this is true. I know it was true for me. I know this is true for me. That when I was younger, although honestly, if you look at pictures of me from about 16, 17 until about now, it's very difficult to put them in chronological order. I look about the same age, except for the period of time when I was over 200 pounds. I look older in those pictures. But other than that, I look about the same age. So here's the thing. I look about the same age, but I know I had a nastier, more toxic attitude overall, right? And it was more difficult to be with me. Despite the fact that men would still be with me because I was very beautiful. And when I wasn't being toxic, I was being amazing, right? But I know that those were things that knocked me down a few pegs, whereas I don't have those things now. So even though I know I checked up my fertility health and
oh,
I'm at 100%, I'm perfectly young and normal. And then from my look and the attention I get on the street, it's not really different than I got when I was in my early 20s, right? But I know that I'm not getting the negative attention that I used to get from the negative aspects of when I couldn't control my anger, my emotions, right? I know I'm not getting that. I know I'm not going to be a negative impact on my husband because I'm not going to have those same toxic issues that I've worked through already, right? So for me, I have improved dramatically from where I was at 21, drinking, partying all the time, terrible, this and that, all these things that I had at 21. I don't have those issues now. So for me, I look at it and I say, oh, yeah, oh, I have so improved with age. I really have.
Okay, so I would ask you this question then.
Mm-hmm.
Would you consider yourself as an average or one of the outliers in what you just said? Would you say that most ladies who are your age look as good as you, or okay,
Nope.
maintain their beauty as good as you, or have all the attributes that you just described of yourself? Because if you are in what you consider as the average, then every
Mhm.
woman, just about every woman, should be getting the same results that you are. However, based on listening to you, I would think that you would be an outlier, which would give you a different set of rules to play by.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to tell you, Ruby. Like, not a lot of 37-year-olds look like you. A lot of them gain, a lot of them gain so much weight and they're losing their hairline from pulling their hair back in a ponytail. Their edges are missing. A lot of 37-year-olds look bad. Let's be honest.
Well, see, I guess you know what part of the issue is, Kate. I will give y'all this one because part of the issue is in my microcosm, I'm not abnormal at all, right? Like if anything, like I said, my mom almost looks younger than me. Actually, if she hadn't had when she had cancer last year, that is what made her just edge up a little bit, where she almost looks grown, like an adult now. But my mom looked like almost like a kid my whole life, as far as how young she really looked, right? Like she looked very young my whole life, and my microcosm is full of women who look young and beautiful, who take care of themselves even if they've had multiple children. They're still, solid, petite, in shape, whatever. So because that's what I've surrounded myself with my whole life, and my mom has surrounded me with my whole life, right? I have a biased perspective. I'll be honest. I know I have a slightly biased perspective of what women are like in general, right? I feel like what my people are like, that's the majority. And then these ones who let themselves super go and whatever, they're the minority. They're the one-offs. That's how it feels to me. I know it's just a feeling, but I'm saying that's how it feels to me because that's my experience, right? My experience is the majority are like me, and the minority are,
Mm-mm.
you know,
I
Okay,
guess
mm,
I
okay,
guess
okay.
that's a Canadian thing because my experience is the total opposite here in America. Even the young girls here though are looking washed up. It's like everybody's looking washed up nowadays. And I think
Exactly.
right, and I think the weight plays a big factor in that.
yes,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? The
that's what
drinking,
I'm
the
saying.
smoking, the popping pills, all of that play a big factor.
A big factor. And that's what I'm saying. On DJ Nat, I see you poking fun. Damn 37 Ruby, it's over. Sorry, he's been poking fun at me all, and I had to call you out, DJ Nat. Okay. No, I'm kidding. I
Him
like DJ Nat.
messing with
He's
you.
cool.
He's messing
He's
with you.
funny. No, I,
He's a
I like
funny
DJ Nat.
guy.
He's funny. But no, what here's the thing, and this is what I said earlier, is that, and even me, when I was 21, 22, and I was over 200 pounds, that's the oldest pictures of me, period. Right? I look way older in those pictures. And what I've noticed is you'll see like 12, 13, 14-year-old girls, and they look over 30, sometimes over 40, because of how their weight on them, right? When you're severely overweight, it makes you look very old. Not only
Agreed.
that, but if you're a woman, it kills your estrogen, so it makes you start overproducing testosterone, or throws off that balance. For men, it's the opposite. It makes you overproduce estrogen, right? And so then you also lose the estrogen like features and quality to your face, to your build, to everything, right? So and that's what I'm saying. I think it's a weight issue, not so much an age issue, because if you were to take the same overweight chick, right, from 12 to 35 or to 40, right? You take the same underweight chick or, healthy weight chick from 12 until 40. I think, you're not going to see this dramatic change, right? The one who looks, 40, even though she's 12, is going to look 60 by the time she's 40, right? Because she's
Mm.
super overweight. And the one who is in shape and healthy and therefore looks, pretty young and vital at 12 is going to look pretty young and vital at 40. I think that's the problem. It's a weight thing.
Yeah,
Definitely. But let me just, before we go on, I'm going to read the next super chat. The Gold
Mhm.
Eagle, thank you for the $10. We appreciate you. He
Yes,
says, right? He says, what is the average age of women that give birth country to country? Does anybody know? Do anybody know?
it
that that
changes.
that would be an
Sorry, go ahead.
interest. That would be an interesting. That would be an interesting thing to speak about. And I know you mentioned the weight issue, and I believe even more than the weight issue, I believe genetics has so much to do with it as well.
Yeah.
And some of the things that you do while you were young, you mentioned that as well.
Yo.
Drinking,
Mhm.
smoking,
Mm-hmm.
partying, the taking of drugs, and so on. These have an
Mm-hmm.
impact, so much impact on you when you start to age.
Mhm.
So that is a really, really good that is a good comment as well.
Mhm.
Agree. Wait.
To answer the question, it varies dramatically, not just from country to country, but from community to community. A lot of it, right? People don't want to hear my evolutionary psychology stuff, even though it always applies and it's always true. Okay. But a lot of it has to do with we evolved to survive and to reproduce as a species. Okay. And so if our brains from the ages of 0 to 9 get told that, hey, listen, we're in a harsh environment, survival's not likely, food, safety, water, not likely, not abundant. Okay. Our bodies are literally primed to start developing early, right? Start puberty early, become sexualized early, start having more sexual partners at an earlier age, have a lot of sexual partners, start having babies early, have a lot of babies, and invest very little parentally into each individual kid. And then the opposite is true. If our brains from 0 to 9 are told, hey, everything's safe and you don't have to worry about nothing, you're never going to die, everything's good. Okay. These are literal actual things that happen to us biologically. And so
I
you can
I had
look at a country or a community and based on, the pressures or not that they're under, you can give a good idea of, what the average age is if it's younger or older.
I had this
Sorry, go ahead.
exact conversation a couple of days ago. This
Oh,
exact
okay.
conversation.
Mm-hmm.
How did it go?
It's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. A lot of people will not accept what you just said, that
True.
we are not as far removed from
Hmm.
our instincts and our genetics and our survival skills than we think we are.
That's
We
very
think
true.
we think we're so far removed from the animal kingdom for basically, and what makes us tick, what makes us survive, puts us into survival mode. And we also forget that, as you mentioned, reproduction and the survival of the species is one of the main reasons why we are here.
Hmm.
Yeah, we're
Mm-hmm.
not too
So
Exactly.
far
that,
from gorillas. That's what he's trying to say.
no, we're not.
We're not,
That's the truth. I'm
right? We
telling
share
you.
60% of our DNA with a banana. So how far do you think we are from the apes? Right? Let's be
You
real.
said what about a banana?
We share 60% of our DNA with bananas. Yep.
Yeah, that's true. I saw that on a Snapple fact. I'm being honest.
Yep.
What?
You know what's
Yep.
amazing is
That is crazy.
I just
Wait,
wish
Yep.
I just wish brothers would read this stuff as much as a lot of our sisters do. Because look, I know this stuff as well, but a lot of times our brothers don't be knowing this stuff. And it's like, and I'm not capping on nobody on stage, just in general. Brothers need to, be well read on this information that's just out there. Because sometimes brothers just don't know and they be shocked. And it's like, wow, you didn't know that?
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Absolutely.
Are you
It,
referring to me?
I just said nobody on the
No.
stage.
No,
no,
he's
just
saying
saying
he's
in
just, it's
No,
a
general.
that's not.
general
That was
thing.
In
cat.
general.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay. We capping
cat.
over here. Okay. I see.
Bro,
You want to bring
bro,
Cat to a
you
panel
could address
already.
me
You
directly,
just got
man.
here. No, I'm
You,
kidding.
no. As soon as I said that, he had made his comment, and it was obviously directed. You could address me directly. I ain't a
No,
pussy.
I don't
No,
believe it. No, no, no. Hold on. I
He
talk
was
about
gonna address
theories.
you.
I talk about theories and topics. It's not about people. We can't
right. And
we
it,
can't we
All
can't
right,
learn that way if I
whatever.
make stuff about
no.
people.
If I could just say something really fast, because here's the thing. I've had this discussion with numerous people, numerous times in this space, where it comes down to, unfortunately, our people in general are not as informed about things on a greater scale as they could be, as they should be, and as would help them to understand things. So this is not like even like the 100th time I've heard someone say this. So that's why I honestly do not believe that it was aimed directly at you, because it's just something that I've heard a lot in response to things that I say
Mm,
sometimes. That's just what it is.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just like if somebody say
let's
about
keep
suit
moving.
and
Let's
tie.
keep moving. Let's
Well,
It's
keep
just
let
like
me
if
moving.
somebody say something about
wait,
suit and tie just because I came around. I'm not gonna
Nah,
can
forget.
we get some names,
let's keep
please? Because I
moving.
can't see
We
anyone's
gonna keep
name.
bullshit.
okay,
Some
We
let
gonna
me
keep
do
people.
this. Hold
bullshitting.
on.
Oh,
Come back, Leslie.
how you
Let's keep
doing, ladies?
moving.
How you doing? Oh, yeah, that's
Let
a
me
my
do
That's
man,
Mr.
Mr.
this.
Research. Okay,
I,
so
Yeah.
I
that's
want
the
to
man
be
right there.
clear.
I can
Young
vouch for him.
Yeast.
He's not directing anything at you. I know this
What
man.
up, Bill?
No.
What's
Person right
going
there.
Also,
on,
Young
brother?
Yeast, if
That's
I could
good.
just
So
say, Young
don't
Yeast,
take it
if
too
I could say,
personal, man.
Mel, give me a sec.
Y'all
Because
keep
Mr.
talking about it.
Research,
I'm trying to move on. Y'all keep talking about it. Let's keep
no, no,
going.
Who's
I just wanted to say, listen,
mother
Mr.
after
Research is
Ruby?
someone. I've had a lot of these discussions. I had discussions on his panel. I've been invited to his panel and had these discussions, and I've heard him say this personally
Uh-huh.
numerous times. So honestly,
Exactly.
I know
Uh-huh.
why you feel that way. Because trust me, sometimes I feel that way too. But I'm just saying, I've heard him say it
I know,
before
I know,
here.
I know what
I promise.
shade look like.
Oh God, Young Yeast, listen, I'm done with
I know
you.
what the
I'm done with
shade
all of
was.
y'all. I'm done with
Listen,
all of y'all. No, I'm
let's
kidding.
go
What's
in
up?
order, guys. So Miss who came first? Oh, Young East. Let's have
Young
you
Yeast.
first, and then Mr. Research, and then Mel. Go ahead,
Okay.
Young East.
What? Wait. What was the
The,
topic
the
about?
topic is: do women hit the wall, and if so, what age?
Okay. Black women don't hit the wall till about 40. Everybody else about 30. And
Hmm.
some black women last longer than that. Some of them last to
True.
shit like 50. Some of them reach that high. And it all depends on how you take care of yourself. But black people don't hit the wall till at least half of us fall off about 40. None of us hit the wall at 30.
So, what do
None of
you
us.
think about the
True.
manosphere saying that women are in their prime from 18 to 24, and they hit the wall after that? How do you feel about that? Because that's
That
what the
came
men
from
in the manosphere
that
say.
yeah, the man that came from the white manosphere, and then the black manosphere.
Yes.
Yeah, the black manosphere adopted that because a lot of those dudes in the black manosphere, some of them kind of want to be white. That's shade, by the way, and because of that, they run with a lot of their statistics and stats about women that don't apply to black women at all. You know what? I'll go further.
Mm.
A lot of dudes in the black manosphere think that black women are the worst of women. In my opinion, it's a fact, and they don't attribute a lot of what black women do as part of female nature. They just think they're just inherently evil women. A lot of them, oh, they're just how they get in their feelings. They think everything is when a black woman do is times two, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so that's a problem. But as far as the wall, come on, man. A lot of black women, I ain't gonna say a lot of black women, a lot of women don't even know how to perfect their makeup till about 25, 26. To be honest with you. And when it comes to just the fundamentals of femininity and being a woman, most girls don't know how to be a woman till they're in their late 20s. They don't know, they don't
Interesting.
no, for
That's what
real.
I'm saying. Thank you, sir. Thank you. You see?
Interesting.
You
Yeah.
see? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, when they're in their early 20s, they still got a young mindset, and a lot of dudes can attest to that. They still chasing after immature people, immature guys. But when they hit 30, all of a sudden they want the studious man. They all attest to that. But like I said, you could almost argue that this going to hit different. But a female's mind don't get fully developed until about the later 20s. I ain't gonna lie. That's when she's fully realized as a woman, in my opinion.
I
So
think it's 25.
I said
Well,
26, 26, but yeah.
but I'm not. I don't get with her for her the development of her mind. It's the development of her body. Like just to be clear, when you get a woman who's younger, you get the young her and the older her that has been shaped to be with you. It is a better deal all around. It's the difference between a new car and a older car. In fact, ladies, know this: the year you graduate high school is the model car you are. So
It's also a better
I'm
deal
a
when you.
Really?
car. I'm an old car.
Interesting game
It's
changer.
if
also
you
a better deal
graduate,
when
if
you
you
marry
Wait,
her
wait,
at
wait,
a
graduate,
one
younger
at a
age.
time. Let
if
Game
you
Changer finish, Mel, then you can go. Go
yeah,
ahead.
if you graduated
Wait,
high
we're not going in
school,
order. Oh, I'm
if you
sorry. Go ahead.
graduated high school in 1994, then you are a 1994 model car. Now you may be a 1994 Mercedes, you
Good
may
on
be
gas.
yeah,
Hmm.
bad on ass, and it's not. And
Mhm.
bad on ass if you graduated in '94. No, I'm
My
joking.
Geo Metro was amazing on gas. Okay, it was a 1994 Geo Metro. Put twenty
Yeah,
dollars in
but
that. I could drive
I'm
for a
like,
month.
yeah, you want
well,
to
Okay,
know
go
what's
ahead.
better? You want
you
to know
didn't
what's better?
graduate high
You
school
want
in
to know what's
'94.
better on gas than a
You was 10
1994?
at the time.
Wait, right quick, guys. You want to know what's better on gas than a 1994 Geo?
What's
What?
that?
Is a brand new electric car. Let's be
Mm.
clear.
So you
Newer
want
is better. Is better on gas and tighter on ass. Okay, and you get to enjoy it more.
Hey,
You know,
KJ, I got a question
He's
for
a
Mm.
KJ.
comedian.
well, keep
Okay,
your new.
Mel's up next. Mel's up next, y'all. Go ahead, Mel.
I also
Well, I'm
want to
just
add
saying,
what
keep
Game
your
Changer
new
said
car,
also
fellas.
too.
Keep
It's
your new
better.
car for 20 years, and then it will be the old classic car that you have been riding for quite some time. That
Mhm.
is the benefit. But newer is better.
Also,
Okay.
when you marry her at a younger age, also too, that's better. Also too, not
Yes,
at,
it is.
not over a certain age bracket when she's already been ran through multiple times, had multiple chances to get with the right man, but she chooses to deal with a certain type of small percentage of men and expect the large percentage to be cleanup guys. Ain't fucking happening. Ain't clean up your mess. You had multiple chances. Now you're over 40. Thinking you more womanly. It's like watching a sitcom of those female shows. Every episode is like a new year for a woman. I evolved from my mess up shit that I went through. I met this guy who was a sex addict who had multiple women, but I broke up with him and now I found myself. I was with this ain't shit dude who ran the streets. It almost got me involved, but I broke up with him and now I evolved myself. It ages her like crazy. She probably had multiple kids between that also too. So when that time she's 40 years old at the last episode, having been wifed up, then she makes a whole big ass monologue on how she found herself and I'm empowered and I'm woman, but yet your ass is depreciated and valued, just like Game Changer said, as a car. Newer is
Mm.
always better.
Okay. Well, hold on. I just want to say a couple things really fast. I want to greet some
Oh,
people. So,
I'm sorry.
your name
One more
is
thing. One more thing.
no. Hold on. Just let me greet people really
All right,
fast, and you can go. So, I just want to say, so pretty Pink. She came in earlier. I know she's new. Thank you very much for coming by. Also, I know it was it Family Values said that Chantel Simone sent it
Chantel
this way.
book.
So thank you
Mm-hmm.
very much, both to Chantal and to Family Values. Gail Nelson, I see you up in here. Deacon Dave, I didn't get to say what's up to you earlier. Prime Time VA 757 or Prime VA, sorry now. War Master 7. Look at this, man. Y'all are coming in to support our no echo chambers conversation, and I really appreciate it. Kevin Murray, if you could expand on what you said earlier, by the way, you said the wall is not just about looks, so if you could let us know what else it's about, that would be great.
Link,
The human
Kevin.
chapter,
Tell
thank
them
you
to hit
so
the
much,
link.
guys.
What, what
The
Adult
link.
supervision, y'all came in like I love y'all. Thank you so much.
Chick don't know how to
Yes,
suck dick
definitely
probably
hit the
too.
link, guys, if y'all want to come up and speak on this topic.
But sorry, go ahead now.
Yeah,
Go
but I
ahead.
want to add one more thing. It's like investing in a stock. You buy it when it first come out at its cheapest rate, but it's at its purest rate. You'll be the one that put the value in it. And through time, you benefit way more when you spend a lot of time because you got it in its early stages and stuff.
Yeah,
Thinking about
Okay. And ladies, if
okay,
y'all
that's
want
an
to come up,
interesting
please
take.
do. We need some more estrogen up here. So y'all come up. Gail, you said you're from a different culture. I'd love to hear about it.
More
Come up. You
estrogen.
tell us why it is that y'all young women get married and why us old women are basically washed up and dried out no matter what we look like.
No,
Y'all can come up and
That's
This
tell
is
us.
because
good.
you
I want to
already
hear it.
married. Why are you putting in that category?
Okay, so next we'll go Mr. Research. I want to hear from Mr. Research next.
Shut
So,
down. What's up? Go ahead.
what is on your mind, Mr. Research?
So I look at it like this. So I'm gonna represent the career guys. We kind of don't care about ladies like that. I mean, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. We just that's not our primary thing. I flew out to Atlanta over last weekend, and me and my friend was talking about what type of money we're going to put into this nightclub. Women are not a major factor for a lot of dudes, and I'm not hating. It's just that they're not. I think we in the black male community, we have so many of these conversations that non-relevant ladies become relevant. You feel me? We
This
have
is
so many of these conversations to where um
all that is shade, bro. It's the same shade he was throwing
Well,
at
hold on,
me
hold on, hold
Well,
on.
let
earlier.
him
what are you
finish.
talking about?
Let him
Wait,
finish,
wait, wait.
and
Oh,
then
yeah.
you
Hold
can
on, hold on,
address
hold on,
him.
hold on, hold on, hold on. What are you talking
No,
about,
no,
bro?
don't address it. Just go ahead and finish what you're saying. Research, please.
Yeah, please finish.
Yeah, this don't even make sense, bro. You really
No, you're
internalize.
addressing it. You're addressing it. Stop
Oh,
talking
Mr.
back and
Research,
forth.
don't.
Topic.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right,
he's
wow.
trolling you. Go ahead.
Wow. So yeah, it's like I just look at it like this. Ladies only be look in every other culture, Arab, Chinese. This ain't no factor. Their women don't speak up a lot because they know that those men will ostracize them. You know what I'm saying? And I just think here in our community, we give way too much precedent to these ladies. If you marry, then you're a good lady. Proud of you. If you're not an anti-male speaker, I'm proud of you. But the rest of these women, we're the ones that help them become relevant. I wish guys we would all get to a point where
Mhm.
we're handling so much legacy business for our sons, the way the Arabs do, that women are begging to have us pay them attention. I just wish it was like that. But to each their own. I just don't really stress women like that. Career guys, we're too focused on the other stuff. And we like you ladies, but we understand some of you ladies are difficult to deal with. And ain't nobody got
Mm-hmm.
time for it.
Hmm. If I want to adjust a couple of things you said, just because it does go to my point. And so I do agree with you that yes, the men would absolutely shun the women, but let's be clear that they run on like almost like evolved mechanisms. And so the first people who are going to shun a woman who is an acting right are the women, right? Let's be honest, because that in essence, right, they're working on, like I said, on more old school evolved principles. And so when men are choosing from the cream of the crop, so the cream of the crop man gets first pick of the women. And when he's choosing, he is choosing based on the lineup from best to worst of all the women. And the women can knock each other down several pegs, right? The elder women can put women right at the bottom, and it's not just based on looks, it's also based on other things, right? Attitude, virtue, beliefs, da 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 da, right? Culture, all these things. And so there are two fronts to it where it's like, okay, the men aren't going to choose from the bottom of the barrel when they're the cream of the crop, right? The men are not going to ignore all of those intangibles or personality and choice factors and whatever because you're super gorgeous and whatever. They would rather have a woman who has, let's say if they're from India, strong Indian nose. She's average in looks, but man, her virtue, her cooking talent, her organization, all those other things are on point. They would rather that than someone who's lost all their virtue, but is super gorgeous, right? So they have other different principles that they're working on as well and that they really value as far as men. A second thing is though, right, is they do understand the inherent value that a wife can add to a husband. And so because of that, these are things that even in cultures, Asian cultures especially, where both women and men are expected to pursue their education and to become doctors, lawyers, scientists, researchers, something high paying and highly respected, right? You still have your traditional roles as far as what it is that you need to be. And, this is why arranged marriages still exist. Even with people who move to the modern world, they'll go back to their country to get their arranged marriage done. Because they understand that marriage is more than just feelings or just, surface bullshit, right? There's a function to it. And if you do it right, it can actually very much encourage your success and speed it along, right? Research says 40% more successful men are in all facets of life when they're in a marriage, even if they're miserable in a marriage. Women are only 40% more successful in a marriage if they're happy, which is why women need to stop putting the onus on men to make them happy, because women are the emotional gatekeepers in relationships. So if they are emotionally dissatisfied and emotionally unhappy, it's often because they are failing at their role within this relationship to make sure that emotionally everyone is healthy, right? Because she can also, again, get a huge boost from marriage, other than what we talk about with normally what she gets from divorce, right? Or finances. I'm talking about keeping marriages together and the benefit of an actual marriage. And I don't think we talk enough about that. I don't think we understand enough about what a real functional marriage is, because we don't see a lot of them. So a lot of times we're talking on a dating level. And so I wanted to ask Game Changer now, because you said, okay, well, what you really care about is her body, but you're also in the dating stages of life, right? So do you really think that you're going to prioritize her looks and her body over other characteristics when you're ready to actually pick a wife and have children?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. You see, here's the thing. Her body represents, and I was just talking about this on Chantel's show, her body tells the type of mother she's going to be. Is she disciplined? Does she believe in fitness and nutrition? She's going to be the primary bread cooker in the house. So what kind of crap is she going to feed our children? Yes, a woman's body is a reflection of her. Absolutely. It speaks to the quality of woman that she is. So it is going to and that's just a precursor to all the other stuff. Of course I want her to have all the other qualities that a woman has. But if her body is right, then she does.
Speak
That's
on it.
It's very likely, unless she has, awesome genetics, then chances are she is a very well disciplined person, who believes in fitness and nutrition and will pass these values on to our children. She won't be eating chicken grease that's been recycled 3 times, and while she's pregnant, she won't be smoking. She won't be. She's gonna take her prenatal vitamins. She's gonna drink water and not soda and stuff like that. So she already, by having her body in line, she already has spoken volumes to the quality of woman that she is. Absolutely.
Right.
Okay,
So
I
do
think
you
that's fair.
guys
I will
oh,
also say this also too.
go ahead.
Pushback also too. Even though she might be highly attractive, like an 8, 9, or 10 and shit, most of them could be batshit crazy and stuff.
Bingo.
I
So
mean, okay.
this is why technically some guys would technically dumb down looks.
Yeah.
Not too far, but at least within the 6 range. They're still a sexual attractive 6, but have a nurturing type of attitude.
Yeah, them
Most
Well,
Instagram
I mean,
models.
highly
that
attractive
statement, Mel.
females, and they hold it. Mostly highly attractive 8, 9, to 10s are batshit crazy. They're not
Yeah.
nurturing. They get the
Okay,
fuck. But to
Mel.
marry, I mean, Kevin Samuels just showed that with the Jessica Wan chick. Highly attractive woman. Yes, I fuck her, but I would not marry her. Period. She is
Okay,
delusional. She
Mel.
doesn't
Mel,
exhibit
here's the
any
thing.
I
motherly
agree.
type
I
of,
agree to that. I agree
yeah,
to
she
that.
doesn't
Here's
exhibit
what you're
any
missing.
motherly, wifely type of duties. Just a sex mate. That is
Yeah.
it.
All
Here's
right,
what
one
you're
at a
missing,
time,
Mel.
guys.
Yeah, no worries. Here's what you're missing, Mel. And I think that the rest of us already know this. All women are crazy. So
Here we
you can
go.
either have,
No, not really. Not really. What's your degree of crazy?
No,
well,
he's
I
right.
it's
He's
varying
right.
degree depending on the
He's
women.
right.
will
But on a
agree.
scale, excuse me, Mel, on a scale from 1 to 10, women are at least 4 crazy. Then that's just by virtue of being women. So knowing that, why would you get with an unattractive woman
Oh my
who's
gosh.
crazy because she's a woman, or a attractive woman who is crazy, right? I mean,
And let me put it to you this way: Michael John White actually said this up on an interview when Val TV asked him about the situation with Jermaine Dupri while he cheated on Janet Jackson, one of the hottest females we see out there, and he told him so. I was not surprised he did that. Most of these chicks, I dated a lot of hot, attractive, fly women, but most of them are batshit crazy, just like
but
you
I
said.
don't think that Michael Jai White has
And
dated
he
any
got
ugly
from a
chicks.
wife, yes.
No, no. What
I
I'm
would
saying
say
is,
between the rate her between his wife now that he's married to and Janet Jackson. Yeah, Janet is a little bit put Janet in her prime and stuff. And his wife right now. Yes,
what,
Janet
what,
is still more attractive than his wife, but he chose to marry her instead of Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
Easy.
what you're implying is that ugly makes a bitch normal.
No, I'm not applying that. That's what
No,
you're
yes, it is.
applying.
No,
You're
no,
applying that. I'm
no,
saying
no. I'm
ugly. I didn't say
concluding from
nothing
what you
about ugly.
said.
So
No, I'm
I said,
concluding.
I
Say
said there are
ugly.
Guys,
levels of
please
females being
respect the
attractive.
platform one at a time. One
Yes,
at a
thank you.
time,
You're chronically interrupting.
please.
You're
Because
saying
you're
that
changing my
attractive.
words. You're not
You're
gonna do
you're
that. I know
saying
what
that
you're
Okay,
doing.
but
attractive.
You're not
correct
gonna
him
do
after
it.
Damn,
he's
Mel.
done.
I'm not
Okay,
having
we'll
that.
make sure that you got your full time to go, Mel. Let him finish, and then you can correct him after. Okay,
Go
go
Yeah.
ahead.
ahead.
Okay. By saying that that there's a correlation between how attractive a woman is and how crazy she is, I do not agree with that correlation. I'm sorry, I don't. I think that you are just as likely to find a crazy ugly chick. In fact, ugly chicks seem to be more crazy. Look at the bonnet. Like, look at all the crazy stuff unattractive women do. Men are looking for a discount. They're like, okay, if I compromise on this, then I'll get more of this. If she has
Mm.
a few extra pounds, then she might be a freak, or she might be able to cook. You're trying to play mix and match, with a woman's value. No, some women are simply of far greater values than others. There are a lot of attractive women, are women who at least maximize their beauty, who are minimum woman crazy. They exist. I say go for those. That's what I'm getting at.
All right, but we getting off topic. The topic is, do women hit the wall? And Ruby's flight is they don't hit the wall. Mine's is they do. So
Yeah.
let's try to stay on topic. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
like
Fat rebuttal game changers mess. No, I don't want to deal with highly
No,
attractive
no, Mel.
females.
Let Mel respond first.
Can
Okay,
I please rebuttal, Benson, please?
yeah, go rebuttal first, and then we'll move on.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. No, if she's highly attractive and batshit crazy to where I gotta pull my hair out, have her call the police on me, I don't want to deal with her. I would deal with someone on the middle range. She's
Mm-hmm.
still attractive, not hot attractive, but she's cute. But
Okay.
she's feminine, gives me peace. I would settle with that, grow a family with that, than a hot attractive bimbo.
okay,
What can I grow with a hot attractive bimbo just to get my nut off? That is it.
Early.
And sometimes that
okay,
can even be boring because she's
okay.
Early.
not
Early.
So
in bed. For my
Early.
standards, she's
all right,
lazy.
right.
Early.
Okay, so Ruby, you want to read that super chat? Looks like
All
it's for
right.
you.
Oh, it's Mr. Research TV. Okay. Donate to Ruby. Aww. I love Canada. Scotia chocolate girls.
Eh?
Yeah, that's the only time you're always going to get me to say A. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for the
Scotians, just so y'all know, Scotians are our, say Black Canadians. They're not from somewhere else,
Mhm.
or immigrant culture. So yeah, shout out to Mr. Research. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna get back on topic, guys, because we were going a little bit off topic. We're talking about women hitting a wall. GC, do you think women hit the wall, and if so, what age?
That's a very interesting question. It varies from woman to woman, but do I really think that they hit the wall? No, I don't. I don't think that there's a woman even at 80 who is at a complete absence of sexual value or value to a man.
Hmm.
However, her value greatly diminishes the older that she gets, and that can't be ignored. Also, there is a fertility window that women have that also can't be ignored because it's biological. Now, Ruby mentioned the Asians, and yeah, there's it's a family of cultures, but sticking with the Orientals, they have a term called leftover women, And that is women who are past the age of 27. 27. So, they basically saying, if you are 28, you can't get this little penis, is essentially what they're saying to women of a certain age, because Asian people, particularly the Chinese, understand the importance of walls. They have great walls in China, and they throw all of their 28-year-old chicks off of it if they're
But
not
how can
married.
they? The game show, the wall so long.
Wow.
The wall so long. Game show. How able they confirm over the Great Wall of China? How are they able to do that?
No, well, high. They lift them up in the same way they
They
built
use
it.
a machine and like catapult them over the wall.
See,
Go
the
for it.
thing is, though, I'm going to tell you why I disagree with that. I think that that was absolutely true at one point. But when you're talking about, again, what is that, Southeast Asia, whatever, um, first of all, they've developed things like a hand that you can hold while walking through public. They made sure to get the female one first because men are the ones who are suffering from loneliness and lack of companionship the most. And like the arm literally it kind of shoots out like a perfume, so it smells like women, and it gives you like a pulling sensation, so it feels like someone's pulling you through the crowd. Sometimes it squeezes your hand, so that way it literally gives you companionship. Why? Because they are lacking companionship, because marriage rates are down. And because at the end of the day, whether it's not because these men are refusing to marry women who are over the age of 28, it's because in general, both men and women have become very dissatisfied with the marriage agreement, in essence, in their country, what they watch their parents do, and they don't want any part of it. I mean, a lot of it, and I remember seeing this on Sex and Love by Christina Armpour or whatever. A lot of it is like, okay, well, you got married to this person, that's duty and obligation, and you had your children with this person, duty and obligation, and then he goes off and he has his mistress who he actually loves and enjoys, and she goes off and has her mister who she actually loves and enjoys, but you stay married forever miserably to this person, because that's what you're supposed to do. Right. And people are becoming dissatisfied with this concept, with this arrangement. I guess maybe, yeah, it's probably somewhat exposure to Western culture and Western ideals of marriage and love. But ultimately, their marriage rates are going down and their loneliness rates are going up. Right. So they also have an issue there as well with marriage and people actually wanting to get married and get settled down. And
Well,
they are getting married at later ages as well.
that issue is separate from the age. I believe in young love. And yeah, marrying younger will solve that problem. It's people become set in their ways and they become comfortable being single, and it causes all types of problems when people try to marry later in life. And this is from somebody in his early 40s who is not married.
Mm.
It's difficult for me to pair bond with someone, especially the closer to my age they are. Yeah, half my age plus seven is what every man should strive for. Now, as far as a woman's overall value, yeah, it becomes harder. Like there's no way around that, and that's for several reasons. One, and I know women don't like to think about this or admit it, but the looks do diminish. The only time it improves is when she wasn't maximizing her looks at a young age, meaning that she was overweight or something like that, and she lost weight as time progressed. But generally speaking, they become less attractive in every single way that men find women attractive, which is why, unless you have a particular fetish, you're not going after like, Betty White. 100 years ago, well, not 100 years ago, but back in the day, Betty White was top notch, and now she's, well, rest in peace. The
Yeah.
point is
Yeah.
that there's value in youth, and we want to ignore it because it's so rare, you know. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but Ruby, what you were saying is more value in being older because you mature,
you get
correct?
both.
I,
You get
I,
both.
I
The
would-
man gets both when he gets a young woman. He gets the young woman, the younger, hotter, sexier, childless woman, and then if he's patient, then he gets the older woman. It's kind of like it's kind of like the seed and the fruit.
Yeah, that would be nice. Like, I mean, realistically, I think what it comes down to is there's a difference between what could be and what is. And the fact is that the way that we are raised here in the Western world often does not beget women who get into relationships at very young ages, and then they grow and are molded and become the wife of your dreams. That's really not what we're seeing in the Western world. This is why people who are looking for that tend not to look for Western women, right?
Yeah,
And so the reality is that the majority of people are going to marry a Western woman if you're from the Western world. And so
yeah,
then you've got to look at the reality of the women here. And I'm not even talking about like the trash buckets or whatever. I'm just saying, in general, the way that women here are raised, right, is that they need to find their identity independently. They have to mature. And that if they meet you before that period of time, they tend to attack you and associate you with all of the toxic or dysfunctional traits that they have. And so when they grow past them, they also grow past you. And that's what you see a lot of, right? Guys who have really hung in there, they've helped support this woman as she, blah, blah. They think that that's what they're going to get. But ultimately, when she finally gets to that place where she's great, now she's looking for not him, right? Because she sees him as a brother or like a father or a mentor or a role model. In essence, he's like a teacher. She suppressed his teaching. Now she's going to take all that teaching and bring it somewhere else. That's what we see here in the Western world. So I don't think it really actually plays out that way as much.
Ruby,
well,
when you say Western world, are you referring to the United States?
Yeah.
United States,
that's included.
Canada,
Yeah.
England, yeah, places
Mexico.
like that. I don't know about Mexico, but
Basically,
Venezuela.
fighter.
Would you say Mexico too though? Because that's
I don't know
Well,
anything about
when they
Mexico.
say
So
fighter complex, when people say Western world, they're really talking about Western Europe
America.
and its subsequent colonies.
oh
So
got oh, okay got okay I understand I
yeah,
understand.
Let me just take 30 seconds to say that also, when it comes to the older women, I think it's a melanin thing. I think when you know that the wrinkles are going to come in early, like Asian women, then they're trying to get up, they're trying to boo up with somebody quick. They're even willing to take an old white man if necessary. You look at some of the Indian and Pakistani ladies, the wrinkles come in quick. It's embarrassing to be a quote unquote auntie in their culture. So they try to wife up quick, or even do the arranged marriages. I think the melanin sometimes fools
Oh,
people into thinking you got a lot of time. But look at the despair of some of our older ladies. They are not at the forefront of image. They are not at the forefront of everything's all right.
Mhm.
And look, I'm not saying that to hate. I'm saying that's really what it is. Some of our women by 35, 45, they like, kind of like just go to work, go home, don't go to no parties, no functions. They try to stay away from everybody.
Exactly. Boring. Boring.
I'm seeing YouTube videos now of older women who create the term ageism, trying to create a movement to there's a stigma of being an old, lonely, beautiful woman. So they stand this and stuff. And men should be getting with us at this age and stuff. We're not. We should be shamed for it. That's happening now. I've seen like two Auburn Preach videos about that.
yeah.
yeah,
There's
Would you
older
guys
guys being
agree?
mean to old
Oh,
women.
go ahead, and then I'm gonna go.
I,
What you
I want.
what you
Go
say,
ahead.
young?
I was saying some of these older guys are a little hard on older women, but anywho, I wanted to say this though. I actually like the fact that everybody is like, at least in America, they're sort of postponing marriage because when you do get married young, the chances of divorce is way high. People don't. Matter of fact, people
mm-hmm,
don't even know how to read character. In
mm-hmm.
the early stages of life, you need time to develop. So I think that's a good thing. I think that attributes to our like first world privilege. Like when it comes to like countries that are underdeveloped, they gotta get married a little young because circumstances. They gotta they gotta mate quickly because if they don't, it, it could be bad. But the point is, we're privileged enough to wait. I and women are gonna wait. They're gonna chase careers and shit like that. But I think that when people actually do when people do their research and they consider what actually takes to like really have a happy marriage, because when people get married young sometimes, and they've been married young for a long time, it could be like 20 years, 30 years, and that marriage will be like on the rocks. It'll always, somebody cheated, somebody did this, somebody did that. They separate, they get back together. Just because people are married for a long time doesn't mean it's a good marriage. So I want to point that out. But I think that people getting married at I think everybody should consider marriage by like in their late 20s, early 30s, because you know what you're doing. You know how. Matter of fact, a lot of dudes don't even know how to read a marriage contract. That's why a lot of these manosphere niggas be complaining. They sign bad contracts and then the chick burn them. So you need time to develop as a man and as a woman for that matter. So you know how to correctly decipher a contract. Get a lawyer, okay? That way you'll be able to see red flags in the contract and in the character of the person you're marrying. So I think that everybody waiting and getting their bread together, getting their mind straight, and healing from childhood traumas, which is another big thing. People don't even heal from childhood bullshit, but they want to get married. That's a big problem. Anywho, so
Well, all right.
I,
Well,
go ahead.
I wouldn't get with an old woman and say, "Oh, wow, she's healed." No, I don't.
Exactly.
Stuff
said
like that
old.
does not
28
increase
is
a
old.
woman's value. Oh, stuff like that does not increase a woman's value.
28
To
is
me,
old.
huh?
I didn't
28
say
ain't
old.
old, but what?
No,
I said
I'm
about
just
late
saying.
20s.
No. East. Understand me. Yeah, it would be nice to have the sweet spot. Well, of late 20s. I understand that. But we're talking about generally.
No.
Do women hit the wall, and is older better than younger? And so, if we talk about both sides of it, then the answer to that is no. If
Absolutely not.
Obviously.
well, right quick.
I agree with the same thing.
If I were to meet an attractive 40-year-old woman, I would walk up to her and I say, damn, your daughter must be sexy. You got any pictures? Like, that is what you do. Like, if her daughter is 20 or something like that. So
That's
Yeah, and
grimy.
also,
That's
if
No,
you
grimy.
that is
think about
fine.
it,
That's
hold on,
grimy.
This is where I
guys,
agree
hold on
with
a
Game
second.
Changer right
If
there.
you think about it, older women over 25 have the nastiest attitudes. Remember, like what we talked about before, GC, when the older you get, the worse the attitude becomes.
yeah,
Or they're like they're
But
entitled.
that's why.
what?
But see,
They
that's
Like they're
develop.
so
hold
No,
on, hold on,
entitled.
hold on. First of all, in order for you to walk up, I have two things to say. In order for you to walk up to that woman
That
and
is
ask
grimy.
about her daughter being sexy would be that she looks 40 years old. There's no way of you knowing what her actual age is, right? You're going based on what she looks like. And so a woman who looks 40 might be 40, she might be 60, she might be 22, right? You don't actually know. So that's
Nah,
thing number
nah,
one.
you, nah,
I
nah,
hate
you
to
know.
burst your
Ooh.
Nah,
bubble.
nah,
I hate
30,
Hold
to
on.
30
burst your
doesn't look
bubble. Hold on. I hate to burst your bubble, but you can tell a 40-year-old woman when you see
tell.
one.
Yeah, that's
I don't
Yeah.
care
easy
how
tell.
young she
Melanie,
looks.
you literally told me earlier, you're like, yeah, but these 40-year-old women, I'm like, I'm going to be 38 in 10 seconds. You're like, yeah, but you don't look it. Exactly. This is my whole point is that. My whole point is that exact
Shout
thing is
out
you
to the
don't actually
84
know.
babies.
But the whole thing is and everything too. Like Young East,
Right.
I disagree with you, Young East. Number one, men and women are made differently. Women are actually born. All that waiting factor about them maturing and everything. No, they are actually born. They get things handed to them since birth. The men are the ones that have to make themselves consistently. Now, a little percentage of men is able to get with women even at early age, but he's still gonna have it in him to show his wild oats. Which is why we promote more of the men. Men get older and build themselves and worry about settling down when they're after 30 years old and marry someone that's younger.
You
Women have
said women are
Dude,
made.
everyone is
What
born.
the hell does
Everyone
that
is
mean?
born.
no,
Okay.
I
So
don't think so.
everyone is born. Okay.
Ruby,
Now
you
here's
were
the thing.
born,
Now,
Here's
right?
the
Ruby,
thing.
Ruby,
Here's the thing.
Ruby,
Let me
you were
finish
born,
my
right?
point number
And
two,
one
and
at
then
a
y'all
time.
can go.
One at a
Let
time.
me,
You're right, Ruby.
guys, wait. Let me
Go
get
ahead,
to point number
talk.
two. Let me talk about point number two because it actually addresses where you're going there with that. Okay. So point number two is this. Okay. Now, whether if she's a woman, she born pretty cute to sexy, whatever it is, right? She doesn't go through any really trauma or damage. Her parents raised her right and whatever. Yeah, we're not talking about her. The majority of our community, I'm gonna say, right? This is my experience, both professionally and personally, right? A lot of our community, or a lot of our girls get into a young adulthood with some type of trauma, damage, defect, whatever. Okay. And then from there, one of three things could happen, right? They can get worse, to try to hide, cover up, deflect from their trauma and damage, right? They can stay exactly the same or they can get better. Now, to GC's point, I hear what you're saying. Well, I care about her looks. I don't really care. Yeah, but here's the thing. You do care about the femininity of the woman. You do care about her being in submission to you or to her husband, right? You care about certain parts of her attitude, about the way that she treats the world, herself, you, other men, other people in general, right? And so those are, it's an indirect effect, right? Whereas in a woman who is damaged, a woman who has, trauma, who has PTSD, who has whatever, right? Those are the women who act in a way that most people don't like. Very masculine, very aggressive, very disrespectful, definitely can't submit to nobody, can't let go of any type of control, so on and so forth. So while you might not directly care, right, indirectly, the outcomes of being healed, the outcomes of getting rid of all of that trauma and being, self-actualized actually is what men want from women when we're talking about the personality factors.
Okay, but
go
here's
ahead.
here's the thing about that. I mean, you're running under the assumption that all trauma happens in childhood. You see, the longer a woman remains on the market, the more opportunity she has to gain trauma. So, let's just say from the time she's 18, she don't just go into, frozen in carbonite or something like that. She is living life, and life has traumas. Whatever those are, those new traumas that she wouldn't have had were she in a relationship earlier and secured a relationship earlier, those new traumas are now part of your thing. What if she was left at the altar? What if, some guy, took her for, a bunch of money or something like that? What if a guy was cheating on her with her brother or something like that? That's new crap. That's new baggage, or excuse me, that's new baggage that she has developed over time. You see, time doesn't guarantee a better chick. It doesn't. In fact, it really just opens the opportunity for worse stuff to happen. Like all the stuff that happens between let's just say 20 and 40, is the extra baggage. Every scar that she gets on her face, that's an L for you. Every little nick and cut that happens since then, every stretch mark and stuff, that is an L for you. Things get worse. I mean, I get it. It would be nice if all life's trauma happened in childhood, but it's just not that case.
No, but the large majority of trauma, the large majority, and this is, I mean, you can look it up. The large majority happens before the age of 21. When we're talking about the type of trauma, right, that affects your entire attitude and demeanor and disposition and all of those things, right? That sets whether you are an aggressive or a more submissive or compliant type of person. Yes, those things do happen before the age of 21 on average. Now, can of course, hold on. Now,
no, I agree with that.
Trauma happen later on in life. Yeah, it can whether you're married. It can whether. Hold on, let me finish, please. Okay, it can happen whether happen no matter what age you are. It can happen whether you're married or not. It can happen whether you're a great person or not. It can happen whether you're a shut-in or you go out clubbing every day, right? So yes, trauma absolutely can happen. But here's the thing. Another thing that people don't take into consideration when we're talking about trauma is the fact that the way that you experience a traumatic issue, how it impacts you, right, has a lot to do with things that have already developed, right? So for example, me having PTSD, right, from the time I was 15 years old, it impacted the way I am going to receive other bad news or bad things happening to me. And I'm going to take it harder than I would have if I had never developed PTSD or major depressive disorder. A bunch of these disorders, by the way, have to be triggered the first time before a certain age. Normally the age is somewhere before the age of 26 years old. Otherwise you won't develop these disorders: major depressive disorder, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, a bunch of these other disorders. So it actually is important when we're looking at, these things that affect the way people behave, right? Personality disorders, almost all of them are developed from childhood and adolescence, right? So years. I mean, it is a majority. It is a very large majority. And if we could actually just target that 21 and earlier, age categories and like wipe out all their trauma, it would be such a minute amount of women walking around with all of this destructive toxicness. And so that's why it's important to say, yeah, no, it does
Okay,
matter.
so here's the thing.
you're
The
so
overwhelming
There are some
majority,
females
the
out
overwhelming
there that don't
majority
have
of
trauma like that, and they still choose to do toxic behavior.
That's cap.
Yeah, I was gonna say
the
you cannot blame it on the
overwhelming
trauma of the
majority
women at all.
of women do not suffer from PTSD or other traumas like that.
We
you
know
know?
that. That was just
So-
an example.
No, yeah, I get it.
I'll bring
I
up
get it,
another
Keith.
example
But
on the
what I'm
other
saying,
spectrum.
what I'm saying is, the notion that a man should wait for her to get over her traumas.
You want to
presumes
deal
that
with a
she
broken
hasn't.
bitch?
Huh?
You want to deal with a chick that's broken,
Yes.
or
yes,
you
I
want her
do.
to heal first?
No,
You don't know
I
what she
wouldn't
went through.
mind.
What if she was touched when she was young? You don't know what she went through. You
I
got to
mean,
give
but
you.
no matter what, so when she becomes older, she would still be a woman who was touched when she was
No,
young.
she can get therapy, my guy.
Okay,
Like
well,
that's the
can't
point.
you can't
People
you
don't.
can't you work
Yeah.
with somebody through that if she's a decent enough woman?
You hear this guy? Now,
But
you want to
you guys
deal with that baggage and work with a woman through that, or you want her to come to you complete?
Well, Young East, for some percentage of
So by that logic,
females,
by
some
that
people
by
are
that
willing to do
logic,
that, and it actually
Y'all
works.
both talk one at a
You guys,
time.
one at a time,
yeah,
please.
no worries.
Well,
can you guys hear me, or do I have to hop
No,
off?
we hear you, Melody.
we can hear you, we
Okay.
can hear
Yeah,
you.
we hear you.
Mhm.
No,
What I was saying
by
is
that
that
logic, by that logic, a woman, young love shouldn't exist because men kind of
No,
start
it
off.
shouldn't.
Um,
It shouldn't.
men.
Marriage is
Okay,
serious.
I have to finish. East, I have to
It
finish.
shouldn't though. But go ahead.
I have to finish
Go ahead.
because men start off, not at their full economic potential unless he's like an athlete or something like that.
Okay.
So, I mean, by that logic, if people are waiting for a finished product, then they all should wait till a man reached his last raise before he retired to get married. No, you do. Excuse me. You do work with the problems that come with youth in order to have a sustained thing. And first of all, that's the best way to assure that you get a person who resolves this problem.
Yo, if
But
all people,
nevertheless, right quick,
if all people operated like that,
Wait, let GC finish first, and then you can go. You're next.
nevertheless, it would be just easier to, get a young woman who hasn't been touched or is not suffering from psychological damage as a result of being touched. But once again, fellas, you're missing the point. I mean, stop going for the least craziest chick. They're all crazy. So, I mean, it's not really, no matter what. I think that y'all think that there's a magic formula between old and ugly and fat that if you mix it right, you'll find not crazy. Nope. No, she can be all of the above and still be crazy. That's just, they're women.
I ain't going.
Melanie, are you crazy?
Good fighter. Good fighter.
I mean, I think all women have a certain
Melanie ain't
degree.
crazy.
I think all women have a certain degree of crazy.
Nah.
Come on, Melody. Keep it real.
Like that.
Latina
Yeah.
heat.
Levels of
Latina
crazy.
heat, man.
Only on your
One
period.
time you got in that
What you
spicy
I'm
gonna
not
zone.
say,
gonna say
fighter?
I'm crazy, but
and you usually see
You
the
never
crazy.
tested yet, Melody. Not
See,
yet.
I will say I was. At 21 years old, I absolutely was.
Yeah, I
I
could
was
tell that.
toxic as shit. I really
You
was.
sound-
I'll give
Ruby,
I'm
you
a-
sound
Miss
toxic
Teddy?
right now.
You sound
Yeah.
crazy right now.
No, I was.
Ruby,
Listen,
touch
I was
your
devoted.
Are you
side.
using like a cutlass?
No,
Ruby,
Machete?
listen.
so side.
I was devoted as hell. I was when I was
I
good,
like
I
him a
was
little crazy,
amazingly
though.
good. But you know what the thing is though? I'm telling you, I had such triggers because I had not dealt with any of my trauma or any of my issues from childhood, from teenager, whatever. And so when I fell in love, deep love for the first time, oh my, that poor boy. I still feel sorry for him.
Ruby,
He still feels sorry for himself.
Damn, she like
Ruby,
that.
you use a machete on him?
Ruby, you
Real
sound
talk.
scary, Ruby. Ruby, you
Yeah,
sound
she
scary.
do sound
I
scary.
was.
I kind of
Listen.
I kind of like that shit though.
Oh
Oh
man.
God,
Yeah.
and that's why
That's
I'm
another
a gay
fact.
man.
Some dudes just like toxic females, man. I'm not one of them,
So
man.
here's the
I'm
thing.
over that shit.
Here's the thing, though. The reason why men stayed with me, right? Like my exes stayed with me, was not because I was toxic. It's because when I wasn't toxic, I was amazing, and it was a trade-off they were hoping would pay off. Isn't that I would heal the toxic part? Maybe they could help me, support me through it, right? And then they would just get all of the good, right? Instead of and again, I did heal very large majority of the toxic and the things that are still damaged within me don't come out in a toxic way anymore, right? And so, yeah, it's definitely paid off for my husband. But with that being said, can I look back when I was 21 and say, again, this is why I said the 21-year-old me versus
You
me
killed
today,
somebody?
which one is a better
Ruby, what
buy?
I
I'm a better
would
buy
say,
today
what
than
I
I
would
was at
That
21.
Ruby, so you're
100%.
Ruby, so
Yeah.
you're not toxic anymore. You
Ruby's a
won't play for
stalker.
tires anymore. That's good.
No,
What
I'm
I
not.
would
And
say, what I
Mature.
would say is for those men
yeah,
that stick
You got
around,
to
for
with a
most men, they want to be the ones who
machete.
fix a woman also too, and everything. So that's
mhm.
why most of them stood around. They want to be like that Captain Saver guy. They want to be your private superhero. So that's
You let her be
that's
crazy. Don't
one of the main
save.
factors why most men do that. Stay around toxic females because I want to be the one to fix her, and then she'll
That's a
definitely fall in love
simp.
with me in my arms.
Well, see,
So
it's not just that though. Like my ex, for example, right? So when he met me, because I was not emotionally open at all, which means I had no connection to all of my emotional damage.
God
And so I was
damn.
perfect. I was a perfect woman. I was the looks, everything. I had everything he wanted, right? It wasn't
Right.
until I started falling in love and I was like, I feel like a floodgate's gonna open. And when that floodgate opens, I think it might be bad. So
You
what do you
stabbed him.
want to do with this? He said, yeah, sure, open it, let's go. And with that first 4 or 5 months, oh my God.
Right, she talks.
But
Mhm.
he decided he wanted to stick around for it, right? And okay, we're gonna try to work through it and da da da. But ultimately, he resented me afterwards because I was like the perfect dream,
You,
but he wasn't
Ruby,
looking for the damage. So he didn't
Ruby,
actually want someone to fix.
Ruby,
hold
you
on,
He
sound like
who's
actually
you
wanted
cutting
talking?
someone to
somebody's
Please
fix.
dick
don't
off.
hide people in the chat room, please.
No,
Time them out if you have
Melody,
to, but don't. Hmm?
they acting up. The chat room is acting up.
Oh,
That's
okay.
fine.
Okay.
Ruby sound like she cut somebody's nuts off.
Nope, I've
Yeah,
never
man,
heard.
she'll take a machete and
No,
cut you.
on,
I was not physically violent to my significant others or anything like that. That's not how I was toxic.
on
So
Snapped, on that show Snapped. That's you.
no,
You one of them chicks on Lifetime. That
no,
Lorena Bobby. Yeah, a little bit. I
Would
could
you
no. But I
feel
not
it.
mean,
I
not
could
feel, but
feel it.
would
I
you
could
well,
like
feel it.
see, but
narcissistic
the
in
thing
a
is, the
way?
She said
reality
she was
is,
a
right?
perfect woman. That only
I,
crazy
I
hoes say that.
I no, but see, this is the thing. I'm not saying what I think of myself. I'm telling you what he said, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'm telling you literally how he saw me. That's why I'm including the resentment. He resented me for not
He
being
was
this
young.
thing that he thought I was. He was
Hmm.
5 years older than me. So
Still young.
when we met, he was 24. I was 19.
Yeah,
Now,
he's
with
young.
that being said, right, and this is why I'm sharing the information. I'm actually sharing something for real with y'all. It's not like a joke. I'm telling y'all that that's really what it was
I
because
believe you.
I was so far removed from my emotions. I didn't even know what it was going to be until it was. And once it was there, man,
Ruby,
like I said, I was
Ruby,
hell on
Ruby,
wheels.
Ruby,
Yeah.
Ruby,
Ruby, how
Ruby,
many guys said that to you
Ruby.
before
Hold
you
on, hold
got
on, hold on,
married?
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Ruby, we don't care. You just sound crazy. Okay, we don't care.
I,
Okay,
Ruby,
that's
how
great.
many,
You don't
how many
answer, but
guys
here's
said
the
that to
thing.
you before you got
Do you know we
married?
don't have panels? Do you know we don't have panels to
I'm messing
educate
with it.
the
Was a
panel?
joke. Ruby, Ruby, it
We
was a
have
joke.
panels to
Relax.
educate the audience.
It was a
So
okay,
joke.
go
It
ahead.
was a
but
joke.
I
Ruby,
Yo,
didn't
you
hear
can't mess with her
anything.
like that, bro.
It was
I
a
didn't
joke.
hear anything from Chaos Reign.
Yes,
Hi,
I'm here.
Chaos Reign.
Hello,
I
how you
thought
doing?
Spider
How you
Turn was
doing?
Spider
How you
Turn,
doing?
right?
What's
So
good? What's good?
what's your take on the topic?
Wait.
Yeah,
Damn, y'all skipped me. God damn. All right, go
Well,
ahead,
What?
Kid.
Chaos Reign
Hold on,
didn't get to
fighter.
say anything.
Hold on,
He was
fighter.
there first.
Um, yeah, there is a wall. There's a time tip for a lot of women since you have a certain amount of eggs in your body that are had to be used or don't use, and you have to be cautious of that. I think with black women today, I don't follow the notion that 25 you are in the wall stage. I think it's around 30s. I think when you start to crash in the wall is when you hit that 35 peak. And the reason why,
Mm,
because fertility right now in the West is very uncertain. Um, to be fair, honest, I don't care which race a woman is. You always can't be
mhm.
certain because the environment is so toxic from the food, the environment that really things is very uncertain for your sister out here. If you want to play that game and you want to risk your fertility as you get older, so so I will agree with the notion on that. But like I said, I don't believe that a woman at 25, especially black, you're at the wall, you hit the wall. I give you another extra 10 years. My
Fair
notion
fair
definition
enough.
is
I agree.
30 at 35. That's when the wall you crash in the wall on the
So
average.
what
And I
makes
think
you crash? So what makes a woman crash into the wall? The looks? What is it that really makes her crash?
Hmm.
You know what? Let's ask the real question added to that.
Like,
can I add
We gotta
into
add an
it real quick?
attribute on that. Is the wall hitting based on
Well,
for
well,
sexual
just
value or
right quick,
marriage value?
right quick, because I think that was for chaos. Was that question for chaos, Melody?
yeah, that was
Yeah,
a
well,
question for chaos and then
Oh,
for
I like your
everybody else.
question though,
You're
Mel.
gonna
I
have to
like your
repeat
question,
that
Mel.
question, man. Gotta repeat that question.
I
Repeat
was
it.
saying, what
Yeah.
makes a woman actually crash into the wall? Is it her looks? Is it her attitude? What is it?
Well, me, I look at fertility, and I will
Fertility?
say attitude, because let's be honest, I see some women that are older that don't look the age of your sister if you keep yourself right. But if your attitude is poor, then it's a negative, including the maturity. A lot of sisters today, as they get older, they don't really match in age. They think they're still 17, 18 years old. And I can see why a
Oh,
lot of dudes will deal with younger chicks, because why I want to invest time with you, you're older, you still think you're this young, instead of someone
Mm-hmm.
that's younger. So it's like you had to give or take at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so you're saying they competing with the younger women? That's pretty much what
All
it is.
women psychologically compete with other women. Right? They want to admit it or not. How we know? Look at how they want to dress or carry themselves out in public. It's always to get that attention.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, another question I have for you: do
Mm.
men hit the wall?
I think with a man, it depends on what he's doing out here. Is he stable? Is he trying to keep improving? Um, there is, to a man, depending on what he's doing, he could hit the wall either sooner or later. You get me? And they always say there's a peak for men. I think it varies for every man on what he's doing and what he's trying to contribute to himself in the world. That his
Mhm.
peak is varies. There's
Because
guys
women,
that might hit a top peak and they're like multimillionaires, and they
mhm,
stop growing. But like I said, that varies towards
Okay.
men.
Okay. Can I pitch in here for a second?
yeah, sure.
All right, great.
Mm-hmm.
So we speak of women hitting the wall later on in her age, from an age perspective. I look at it like this: the men are basically coming down off the wall or going through the wall, because one of the things that makes a man, sorry, more competitive on the dating scene is his resources. No, a man is not at the peak of his resource gathering at a younger age. As he ages, he gets more and more competitive on a resource from a resource standpoint. So therefore, as he ages, he's basically becoming more competitive on the dating scene. So that is the way I see it. It's like a reverse for the male. So while the lady is going into her, hitting her wall, at that age the man would be basically coming down and getting into the peak of his viability on the dating market.
Mhm.
You know, if I could, I'm gonna both agree and disagree with you because I'm me. No, for real. But and some of it has to do with what we were talking about earlier when we're talking about our evolved instincts. What really is making us tick, right? We didn't evolve to respect money because money didn't exist 10,000 years ago. So what women find attractive in men, right, is not the resource of money, it's men's resourcefulness in general, right? And this is why, right, when you're like, well, that dude has no money yet he's scooping up all the chicks and whatever, it's her perception of him as his ability to be able to get her what she wants, to protect her, to basically take care of whatever it is she's looking for that man in this moment to take care of, right? And so that's why, for example, women like myself, I don't care how big your bank account is, and I don't actually care about what job you have. What I care about is your hustle, right? Your ability to recover, to bounce back. If you were to lose that job, if the banks were to crash and suddenly all your money disappeared, right? Would you just lay down and die because look, everything's over now? Or would you be able to find a way to bounce back and to take care of stuff? Or, if you have no money at all, right? But I really need something, would you, figure out how to get it for me or to get it for us? If you don't know how to fix a damn washer dryer, but we don't have enough money to get it fixed, we need a washer dryer. Would you sit there and you don't care how long it takes, you're going to figure out how to fix that washer and dryer, right? That resourcefulness, that hustle, that ability to make a way from no way. right? Now, really, money can artificially give that to any man, right? Because if you have enough money, you can pay for anything to get taken care of immediately. And so it still fulfills that need that women want. I want this taken care of. You throw some money at it, gets taken care of. She feels good about it. But if you don't have, an unlimited amount of money, you being a resourceful kind of guy, the kind of guy who's a go-getter, who's going to take care of stuff, who's going to make stuff happen at your own level with your own methods, is going to still be attractive to most women other than, gold diggers, pretty much.
I'll have to disagree with you, man. I mean, there's a lot of men that hustle, as you would say, but never reach their full money making peak of how they hustling. It's like the old saying: everybody works hard, scratching their way to try to get to the top, but they're not going to make it to the top. Some people are going to die working in poor man status. That's a fact. Some people ain't going to work hard as others. They're going to work smart and wind up getting their millions like that. Or some people just going to be born with a silver spoon. I mean, you just say that, I won't deal with a man unless he. I doubt it. If he was broke and wind up going out and try to make money, but still screws up, I doubt it. You'll still stay with him for a long time. Period. Because the fact is,
any extreme case is bad.
I mean, compared to another guy that's actually competent and actually succeeded in his competence for a woman's natural nature, and I stopped shaming gold diggers in a way because to me that's technically women in their natural hypergamy nature also too. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna hate them for that, but the reality is also too. For women, like they want the most masculine, strong, dominant type also too, and a guy like that is gonna try to get the most resources and stuff also too. And he's also going to get respect of the fellow men and peers also too, not by the way he's saying that I'm a king, but no, they will acknowledge him as a king and stuff.
Right, but Mel, see, that's the question. See that everything you're describing is the difference between a high earner, right? And then I'm going by Kevin Samuel's definition. Hold on. No, sir, you're not listening. You're not listening because I didn't say you did. What I said was everything that you're describing is the difference between a high earner and a high value man, going by Kevin Samuel's definition.
I didn't describe a high earner or a high value man either.
But you literally did. You said a leader amongst men. I didn't. You said, okay, what did you say? What did you say? You don't listen to yourself if you think you didn't. Or maybe you just don't know the definition.
What I'm saying, everything. Because a man can be competent working $40,000 a year, and that's his peak. That's it. It's not a high earner too or a high value man either too. That's just his peak right there. Some people have.
But here's the thing, though. But that's not all you said. That's not all you said.
But I challenge your theory about you would still be with a man if he's broke, but he still go out and be a go-getter.
But I've literally been that woman who's literally been with the man who's broke. I've literally turned down, as in broken up with independently multimillionaires when I was younger. Yeah, absolutely. So I am, because I don't value money. I value a man's character and integrity far above the amount of money he has right now. Oh, more than one. Yeah.
Look at what the. You ain't.
So when I say it, I'm not saying it in theory.
I just say this. What did you do?
What do you mean? What did I do?
I find that BS for a woman to turn down a millionaire and stuff like that for real, and put it on the men.
Yeah, I think she lying.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, though, right? So people who know me in real life listen to these panels. So if I was lying, then at some point, because I've been saying this for 6 years, at some point, someone who knows me would have said, "No, that's bullshit," and yet no one has. You know why? Because I have no need to lie.
Ruby, why you turn them down?
Because of their character. So the first one.
What character they had?
So the first one.
Let her go.
How are you gonna ask me a question and then not allow me to answer it?
Let her talk.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So the first one, the problem is he was entitled and lazy, and so it came down to he actually very
entitled and lazy. But he's a millionaire. What?
See, now here's the thing. If you guys let me finish what I'm saying, all of these things would be answered, but you're not letting me finish. You're just interrupting me mid-sentence to object to what I'm saying.
Please, guys.
Okay.
This is the Ruby show.
So the first one, he was born into money. His parents, basically, in essence, smoothed the way. So when he didn't make enough like good grades in high school to get into the right universities, his parents smoothed the way with money. When he didn't achieve enough in his undergrad to get into his master's, parents smoothed the way with money. When he got out of his master's, his dad handed him a job. Even though he's not doing well at the job, his father wants his son to be the legacy, so kept promoting him. Right. And then ultimately what it came down to, everything had to do with what his daddy was going to give him or what his daddy said. Because in essence, right, it was, he's going to follow daddy's rules forever to make sure that daddy's going to keep paving his very easy life. Right. So he didn't have any hustle, internal hustle, like to leave his father's company and work by himself. He would never have done that. Right. Because it wasn't being handed to him. Right. So he needed everything to be handed to him. He needed everything to be easy. He wouldn't have changed the tire himself because he would have gotten his nails dirty. So for me, that wasn't the character I was looking for.
Your relationship with him, though, I don't.
But
he
hold
going
wait.
Go ahead, man.
I was like, trust fund spoiled kid. Okay, give me that. He's feminine.
Yeah.
What about the second dude? You said, you know, he was a millionaire.
He was. I don't want to say that. He was.
I don't see.
I don't want to use those. I don't want to use that word because I don't think that it's effective. But I'm going to say that
say the truth.
He had no real love or respect for women. He was very disrespectful towards most people, and very condescending. And he literally just saw me as a womb with tits, and that was not enough for me.
So you're just a trophy wife.
Okay. Can I pitch in for a second here, guys? I would like to ask. I would like to ask Ruby just a couple of questions. All right. Okay, Ruby. Okay, so the first guy, the trust fund guy. So I doubt if you would have not known that he was at least a rich kid before you met. What was the initial attraction to that person?
No, I had no idea. Like
because basically what I'm getting is that he you found out all of this after being in a relationship. And I mean, what was your, because here the way I see it, this is how I look at it. We may want to we generally want to paint the best picture of ourselves regardless. So and here's the thing that I myself am actually coming into an understanding that regardless of what happened in your relationship, even if it is one person who left, both persons played a role in that relationship failing. So because I don't believe any relationship fail on one person alone. One may be more the cause. One, let's say the blame can be laid on one person more than the other, but I believe both persons have played a role in the failure, because the things that you mentioned about the trust fund kid, I mean, this is something that you could have possibly seen the red flags from a month into the relationship.
Well, I didn't. It's not like I stayed 10 years with him. Right. But initially, right. So I met him literally. I was standing at a bus stop waiting for my bus to get home. Okay, and he saw me. He was driving so there was an island in the road, and he was driving the opposite way and saw me, stuck his head out the window. I thought he was going to crash into someone. And as soon as he could kind of turn over the island because it got a little bit lower, he actually drove over the island to come over to talk to me at the bus stop.
Oh, you that
so that's where I met him.
Ruby, y'all was dealing with each other before you decided to call it quits.
Ruby, you thicky?
Sorry, wait. Okay, there was a lot of different questions.
I was asking how long you was dealing with him before you finally cut it quits.
6 months.
Did you get a Lambo out of it or something? What you got out of it?
No. I've never really been that person who wants your money or resources from you like that. So I mean,
he treated you any gifts?
I mean, he gave me a couple really expensive pieces of jewelry, which I gave back immediately.
Oh, Ruby!
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't really into jewelry. It just seemed like a waste of money. Yeah, he liked to live large, right? So if we were going to go out to a restaurant, if we were going to go anywhere together, it was always super lush and lavish, expensive. extravagant. He was the kind of person who would just invite like everyone, like 20 people out to dinner today and like rent out like a whole private room in one of the
Oh, so you
big
really didn't reject
restaurants
them.
and stuff.
So you really didn't reject them.
I left him. I
She
said
left
I
him.
left.
Ruby,
Yeah.
give his number to Melody.
Well, now
Oh no, I'm
he's
good.
probably married. I would guess
Listen,
he's probably married
I have
now.
my share of men with money as well, but I'm not going to get into that.
A millionaire
Right.
too?
Yeah.
Look,
I don't
like
Now, Melanie, we gonna grill you too. Now,
Yeah,
Melanie.
we
Now,
gotta
you
get
just said
that.
that.
think a million. I'm not saying he was a millionaire.
Now,
Just put it like this: he was a high value man. He is a high value
Uh,
man
uh,
still.
what?
Yo,
What?
call me a
Why,
bus
why do
stop,
you
chicks
say
right?
are
that, Melanie?
gold, bro.
Platinum.
Why do
Hold
you
on,
say
let's
that?
read this.
What
Let's
was
read
she
this super
saying?
chat, Melody. Let's read this super chat. What?
Okay,
She's bust top
you read it.
fan.
I think he's talking about you.
Yes,
You read it.
yes,
Ruby.
You,
platinum.
Melanie,
I
now.
see
Yeah, you
you.
say how about you, man? Why didn't you
Well,
marry him?
fellas,
Hold
fellas,
on, guys. Let me read the super chat, okay?
Oh,
So
man.
platinum elite, $2. Thank you very much, sir. And
Thank
he
you,
says she a bus stop bae.
babe.
I'm a bus stop bae. That's what
Yep.
you calling me,
That's
sir?
like the song said.
That's what you said you were.
Yep.
He
Ruby,
did a whole stream on bus
Standing at
stop,
the bus
babe.
stop, sucking on the lollipop.
yeah, Ruby got that poke out. Ruby, you work out? You got that don't on?
wait. So
I
did,
got that
honestly
badonk?
I
right
grew
quick,
more
right
of a
quick,
butt in
right
my
quick.
20s. Sorry, go ahead.
She can twerk and shit. Go ahead.
No, I just want to because I think firefighter was next.
Firefighter.
So
Fire
what's
complex.
Firefighter.
Yeah, he's next. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Thank you,
firefighter.
GC. Thank you. Go
Wait,
ahead,
what?
love.
What happened? Wait, what happened?
You don't even know
I
what
was
the
You was
saying,
next.
you're next.
Okay.
So, what is your take on the topic? Do women hit the wall, and if so, what age?
So I believe that, man. I mean, in a way, yeah. Like it gets to a point where you're out of the dating game. You know, like you gotta almost wake up and deal with reality, because every day there's new people being born, new people becoming 22. So
Mhm.
it kind of pushes you out the way, and that's for everybody. And there's someone out there for everyone, but I think a lot of people don't like to hear the fact that, hey, that's it, it's over for you, hang it up. I don't People don't like to hear that, and it's just it's a reality. And I think women don't like to hear, hey, it's maybe you're not the same when you was 24 or 25 in your prime, where you don't have to work out and you could just hit the beach.
Mm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And I think a lot of people just they don't like hearing that reality.
Mhm.
That's pretty much my perspective on it. But yeah, I do believe people, we have a wall, especially a woman has a wall, and then that's just biologically, that's just the way the universe, God designed it. It
Right.
is what it is.
Can I ask Fighter a
Can I,
It
can
question?
I
is
ask
what
you
it is.
something right quick, brother, please?
All right, go ahead.
Um, did Megan Good hit the wall?
Heck no.
Um, Megan Good. I mean,
Megan
when I was
Good.
a kid, I had a crazy crush on her. But
We all
what's
did.
weird with what was weird with celebrities, that like when I get too used to a celebrity, I don't have a crazy crush on them anymore. If that makes any sense.
That makes perfect sense.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
But did she hit the wall though?
Yeah.
Is the
I mean,
question.
I
she
don't
did
know.
some
I haven't
worse
really. I
things.
haven't seen her recently. I don't know. I haven't seen her
She
recently.
she was in Harlem.
I like to add on what Fire Complex was saying.
Well,
I know you said that GC said this in, but some guys, like, if he has an experience dealing with nothing but 8, 9, and 10 most of his life, he's used to turning down a lot of females. So
Ain't
he's used to
nobody got
seeing
that
some
experience.
females, technically, like Megan Good, to him, he might feel like she hit the wall in some ways.
Because
So
I got
he
like
has
used to her. I got used to
women on that high
like
attractive level. Yes, she might be still smashable, but he's not going to smash her
There's
more
not many
times
8, 9,
than
10.
someone that might be younger and more fertile.
There's not
Because
that
there are
many
some
8,
women
9,
that
and
are more
10.
attractive than Megan Good.
so
right.
what I was
Yeah,
at,
that's true.
what
She
I'm
just
asking
happened to
to
be
the
famous.
Why did go
right.
ahead, GC?
Well,
Why you ask the question?
what I'm asking to the fellas who are still interested, like myself, in Megan Good.
Right. Go ahead.
Yes, she's still a very attractive woman, and
Yeah.
perhaps not even hit the wall. However,
She
I
can't
would
get.
prefer her when she was younger.
Of course.
Right.
Even
Correct.
though
Yeah.
she's
Correct.
hot now, she was hotter when she was
Right.
in Biker Boys. I think that was the age when I first started noticing her.
Yeah, she was in her prime.
She was, well, yeah, and she was also underage prior to that. So
Infertile.
in Biker Boys, she was better, which means that you would enjoy all of her Megan goodness all the way up until now, and
Megan Goodness.
continue
Mm.
to do that. Like, so yes, that's what we want. We're not saying that 40-year-old Megan Good isn't an attractive woman. What we're saying is that she was better when she
Right.
was.
Exactly.
Everybody
Yeah,
was
it's like
better though.
it's like Erica Badu. I think
That's what the law
thinks she
means.
fine as
You
hell. Erica's
bugging.
still
Erica
fine.
Badu?
She's still fine, but
Nah.
she was finer 10 years
Erica
ago.
Badu is pretty.
Yeah, but she was finer 10 years ago.
That's what I'm
Nah.
Yeah.
saying. Pretty women were prettier when they were younger. That's
Yeah,
that's what we
Um,
did.
No,
Okay,
everybody
so let
was
me
um,
more
ask.
attractive when they're younger.
I know
didn't think
Game
that was a
Changers
problem.
answer. But let me ask a question to the rest of the panel. I know Game Changers answer. But we got some new guys up here too, right? Okay, so let's use Megan Good as an example. Okay,
Mhm,
so she was hotter 10, 15, 20 years ago. Yes,
mhm.
agreed.
mhm.
But let me ask y'all a question, okay? So if we're talking about getting Megan Good today at 40, okay, yeah, she's less hot than she was 15 years ago, but she's still hot, okay? And let's say she also has perfect femininity, all the other traits, the personality, character traits, and whatever, the role, everything. She's perfect in every way, okay, but she's 40. Or you could get Megan Good 15 years ago, but she's got everything that you don't want. So she got the
40.
disrespect, she's got
40.
the masculinity, she's got the aggressiveness, she got the all of that, all of
Is
that.
this a
Which
Okay,
one
question,
do you want?
Ruby,
Ruby? Is
hold
this
on,
a
But
Ruby.
I'm
question,
a
Ruby?
cheat.
No, hold on,
That's not
Ruby.
what
Let him
hold
finish. Let him
Hold on.
finish.
Let me answer Ruby real quick.
She
Hold on, let
finished the
me answer
question.
Ruby, please. Ruby, this is my thing.
Mhm.
Why are those the only two options? Like, why can't someone be young,
That's just a question,
good
bro.
looking, and a great person? Like, why can't them two things exist at the
Because
Well,
same
because
time?
that was the
because
question that was
Jesus would come back.
Yeah. No,
because
that's a good question, but fighter, we'll ask that of Ruby after everybody answers.
All right, go ahead.
all right, yeah, go
Right.
ahead.
Oh,
So I
I
I
answer
take her
Ruby.
at
I know
40, but
what
she
you were about to say, Ruby. I got the answer,
okay.
perfect answer for you. Here's the problem. She's young, in her 20s, but she has a funky toxic attitude. Yes, she gonna have suitors because they're gonna try to look past that. But when the years go by, it's like a job. It's like a job person have a resume. She has a resume of being a toxic person for so long that by the time she changes to want to be feminine, her dating option is going to be lower because you know why? Because
That's
that
true.
dated her in the past is going to tell other guys that yo, she's toxic and messed up. And it's
nah.
like she might have changed, but the damage has already been done.
She get a
Like
wake up call.
it's,
Life,
it's,
I,
like,
life
yeah,
smacks
I'm
her in
gonna
the
take
face.
her.
it's sort of
But
like
you
a
didn't
sex
answer the
worker
question.
trying to get
He's
married.
saying
The
40.
lady,
He'll take her at 40. That's what he's saying. I'll take her at
Okay.
42, but I'm a cheat though.
but like I
Oh,
said, yeah,
okay.
it's like a sex worker trying to get married. Despite she has a porn star past, but now later years of life, instead of you cashing out early in your 20s, you want to try to cash out in your 40s, and it's not happening that way. Now,
But look,
there are some exceptions to the rule, but the problem also too is for those exceptions to the rule, they try to promote it as any woman can do it, and that's not happening.
Baloo, what's your answer?
Well, platinum. We miss platinum.
Oh, my bad.
Let's go with
Oh, he's been waiting
platinum.
up.
Platinum wanna
Hey, platinum.
What's up with you?
Hey,
Hey,
Oh,
Platinum.
welcome. Good. Good to see you up here.
did you
So
get a
You
what's your
ready? You
yeah,
ready? Oh
what's
yeah, I'm ready. Okay.
He's
yeah,
sleep.
what's your take
I
on it?
wasn't sleeping.
Yeah,
Not
nigga
yet.
sleeping on the
Not
couch
yet.
Right.
spooning.
Not yet.
I know you all about image on your channel. If y'all haven't
No,
followed Platinum, follow
not yet.
Platinum. He has a
I'm
funny
I'm I'm
channel.
live right now. I'm live right now. Just I'm snoring. But look,
Oh.
check this out.
What?
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Um, yeah, I don't. That's not really my thing. But you can find value with older women, if because you can get a lot of compliance and submission, and
Mhm.
it just depends. What are you trying to get out of this woman? And I mean, like it just depends, because we're different, and some guys actually prefer the older woman. That's their preference.
Really? I mean, what would they want
Mm,
out of an older woman, though? Platinum.
it's
money.
a
Uh,
kink.
yeah, it's like a fetish.
No.
That
Mm,
MILF, yeah. Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Kruger.
No, just that older, her skin,
Is
the
she
way she
softer?
carries, yeah, the way she carries herself. And submission. It's like she's really submissive and supportive and
Wrinkly
stuff like that.
skin.
Or dominant. Some guys like older chicks
Hold
because
on,
they're
hold
a
on,
bit more
hold on.
She's
East,
dominant.
more
east,
experienced
east. Let him rock.
sexually. That's the whole thing.
East.
That's cool.
Mel, let
No,
it Platt go.
no,
Mm-hmm.
that's about it. That's all I'm just saying. It just depends on the guys. Not really my thing.
Mm.
I don't like the texture. I don't like that loose skin and that watery body. I don't like it. I like a
The watery body.
Watery. Oh my
Okay, who's up
God.
next?
Blue. Blue is up next. Blue. Hello?
Oh,
Muted.
You there, Blue?
You want to go take a shit.
Yeah, right.
All right, so chaos, and then I guess.
chaos.
Oh no, did Mister what's that?
Namard
Nimbard
is
go?
it's Namard.
Yeah,
No,
he's next.
okay. Um, honestly, all things being equal, I
Hmm.
still I still would deviate to the younger one. Honestly,
Okay.
because here's the thing: even at 40, you have a resume for a reason, and when you look at the resume, there is still the thought that all of this toxic that you had before is gonna come back at some point anyway. So I would still go for the younger one, for the younger version.
All right.
Okay.
He's thinking with the little head.
Chaos. You there? Nope.
All
Chaos,
right,
you
so
there? You there?
could you answer fighters? Very good question. I don't know
Okay,
why
what
people
was the question
fight fighters.
again?
All right, so my thing was, why can't both things exist? Why can't a woman be young, in the mid 20s, and be submissive and come from a good home and be that lady that every guy wants? Why
Well,
can't them
both.
two things
Because
exist?
Santa Claus isn't real, my
No,
brother.
no. What you mean, bro? That
I've seen it.
exists.
Just like Complex said, I've seen a young woman
Yeah,
around that
yeah,
age that's
anomaly.
submissive and good. But it's technically,
It's an
but the problem is
anomaly.
they are in small numbers also
Exactly.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you from New York too, like myself, right?
Yeah.
We know for a fact we ain't gonna find those percentage of women that are and you're young, submissive, and feminine like that. We live in a liberal city and stuff,
Melanie comes off like the anomaly.
and that's
Oh,
another thing. Yeah,
God.
we represent the small percentage. We gotta look through a needle in a haystack to get through that and
But if
stuff.
you got
But
a
we live
magnet,
in liberal cities like New York, California, Miami, Georgia. Yeah, we ain't gonna find.
but do you know how to look for a good woman, Mel, or do you know how at all? You know what flags to look for and all that?
Yep.
You got to fish through them, man.
No,
So
you just gotta know how to look.
Ruby,
You can
Yeah.
right
tell.
quick,
Listen,
right
hold
quick.
on, let me
You
say this.
you
Let me
can
say
find.
this
You
real
want
quick.
to
Let
know
me
how
say
you
this real
find
quick.
them, young East?
No, I'm about to tell you what you mean.
You
Listen,
telling me? I ain't gonna tell me.
I'm gonna
Hey,
tell
All
older
right,
you
than
all right,
because
all
you.
right,
I
all
got
right.
Hey,
game,
hey,
my
Ruby,
brother.
what's
telling
the
me.
fellas?
I
You ain't
wasn't
telling
finished.
me,
Fellas,
brother.
fellas. Ruby, what's your answer to the question?
No, let me say what
It's
I was
about
gonna
to go
say.
in.
This how you,
No,
You
no.
ain't
let
Let
me
telling
me
say,
fighter
me.
ask a question.
brother.
Fighter
Hold
ask a
on. Let me say what I was
question.
gonna say.
Y'all want
Let
me
me.
to answer the question
No,
or?
Yeah,
I was gonna
yeah, I
say this
do.
little part.
No, right quick, no, because it's gonna be a back and forth between you and Mel. Like it's been all
No, it's
night.
not. Go
You
Wait,
don't
ahead.
know what
hold
Mel's
up.
gonna
Okay.
do. Ruby, go ahead.
All right. So the reason I didn't say that it can't exist, right? But when I'm addressing the question of do I think women get better with age? This is actually one of the reasons why I think I personally have gotten better with age and why I think a lot of women in a similar position to me
Took her
got
meds
better
and
with
shit.
age. It's because, in general, for the majority of the women in my microcosm, right? We generally took care of ourselves as far as our
Uh-huh.
physical health and whatever. So we don't really
Oh,
look super much older.
Ruby,
Okay.
well, how old are
Um,
you, Ruby?
Fellas, hold on, right quick.
okay. And so I'm 37.
Oh, for
And
real?
so
Okay.
yeah. And
mm,
so with that being said, right, the biggest change that I can look at between say 10 years ago or 20 years ago and now has to do with my
with the meds.
intangible attributes, my character, the way that I acted and behaved. Not my belief systems. My belief systems were always the same. But
You
the
got
fact of the matter
diagnosed.
is I had a lot of damage and a
Yeah.
lot of trauma and a lot of pain and a very toxic way of dealing with all of it because I had never really been raised with coping
So,
mechanisms.
So you got
So,
rehabbed.
all right,
uh,
Please,
so
please.
let me, Ruby,
Right,
let me tell you this
right
real
quick.
quick.
Please answer the question.
All right, okay, my bad. Go ahead.
You
yeah.
finish answering?
So what ended up happening, right, between the ages of say 21 and 35 or whatever, was I got therapy and whatever, and I did a lot of work on myself to not only, kind of heal all of the trauma and the damage and whatnot, right, but to heal my responses to things, to heal the way that I interact with others, not just my husband, but with just people in general, to become a far greater, far better, far calmer, right? Far more feminine as a result,
Mm-hmm.
and better to devote myself because I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't so caught up in my bullshit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think, for me personally, that I got better with age. And I think that women who start off the way I did, in that kind of just damaged, trauma, toxic bullshit at 17,
Mm-hmm.
18, they're gorgeous otherwise, but they're just damaged, right? And then they heal. I think they're better when they heal, even if they've gotten a little bit older, as long as
Let
they've
me
taken
ask
care
you
of
this,
themselves.
Ruby. Can I ask you a question, my love? I'm gonna ask you this. Do you think you can get the same? Well, you're married, but if
Mhm.
you weren't, do you think you can get the same men you got back when you were 20 and
Yeah, she
25?
still got it.
Let's see. I don't want to sound conceited, so I don't really want to answer
No,
that
let's
question.
be
She
honest.
gonna
Like,
say she
are
still got it, Melody.
like I hate to bring them up. I know people don't like it, but Kevin Samuels talk about men don't want those old women.
To
They
fuck
want
yeah.
the they want
Kevin
a younger
Samuels. Come
they
on,
want a
man.
younger woman that they can build with.
Well, there's a
Kevin
Somebody who's
couple
Samuels
things
said
to that
cooperative.
though,
Kevin
right?
Samuels said Sweetie's a 6. And he said Nicki Minaj is a 9.
Yeah, that was
And
So
crazy.
hold on,
Yeah,
hold
he's
on,
I mean,
hold
drunk.
on.
Man,
Let
don't
Ruby
follow
respond.
Kevin
Get
on
around that,
everything.
but
Let
you know,
let Ruby
to
respond.
I,
what Kevin
I knew
Samuels
you
said.
guys were
Let
gonna.
Ruby
I knew
respond.
you guys were gonna give me pushback. I knew
I'm
that,
not
but
giving
I'm
you
just
pushback. I'm
saying.
actually going to add to it.
Let
You know,
Ruby
Ruby.
respond.
What I would say is you definitely is another factor. What Kevin Samuels always says: you got therapy, you got help, you got training, and then fortunately, what age did you get married?
31.
31.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay,
How
that would
long were
be
you
like
with
how
your
he would
husband
say
before then?
danger zone age around in
A
between
lot of
there.
years,
Yeah,
almost a decade.
is that
Oh, a decade
exactly? Yeah,
before. Okay, that makes sense. Right
31.
now,
Okay.
Yeah, so
that makes
Almost, not
sense.
a whole one,
yeah,
but yeah, but
so you know.
almost. Yeah.
You're definitely like one of those. You're still a small percentage of women that you know what you got yourself together. You faced your traumas, make yourself right before you met the husband to make yourself a wife. In a way, most women ain't doing that these days over here, and so they cash out the dating game early. They overbet themselves with the fact some marry the wrong type of guy, or the fact is they marry a good type of guy, but they fuck it up even still too that way. So
But Luke,
yeah.
Okay.
do you think you can get the same type of guy you got back then if you weren't
Okay.
married?
I
And
do,
also too,
but
that if you got therapy in your
Go
younger
ahead.
years, in your 20s.
She
well,
talks a lot. She don't talk.
I think that I could, but I also don't think that women are a monolith, right? And that's part of the reason why I have an issue in general with the wall as a generalized concept. Oh, you hit 35, that's it, you hit the wall. Or as this idea that, no woman gets better with age. I have an issue with that because I don't think women are a monolith. And I think if we're looking at, right now, if a woman gets 10 years older, doesn't significantly look it, is still in her peak fertility based on actual scientific testing,
Mm.
and also has the qualities, the characteristics that a man is looking for as far as femininity, submission, belief in traditional gender roles. She cooks, cleans, amazing cook now, obviously, and so on and so forth, right? That it's not going to impede her ability to get a great husband. Right. But yeah, I think your mentality and mindset have a lot to do with that. So if you're walking around and acting entitled and, being condescending and talking
Yeah.
everything is equality and whatever, I think that obviously is going to impact what you can get, because the older men get, honestly, less patience they have for certain things.
Yeah, I got
Right.
a
So,
question for you and
Can
GC.
you clarify that a little bit more? What do you mean by
okay.
Oh, what?
So young men, right? Like when you're a little younger, let's say 25 and younger, right? Hotness reigns supreme. Men are generally willing to put up with almost anything because she's super hot. Right? But then as men get older, for example, they value their peace a lot more, right? So even though they do want a woman that they are physically attracted to, they're not going to put up with a whole bunch of toxicity and noise just to be able to have the hot woman on their arm, right? Because they
So
start
you
valuing their peace at home a lot more.
so you saying they will get a female that is not as attractive and that settle for less
Yeah.
in so
I
many
think
ways.
I don't think that it's that they'll settle for less.
Yeah,
I
that's
think it's that
It
they're
is
overall.
it is settling for less. You
Well, let
just
me
said it.
finish.
and looks.
Yeah, you said it. You
Okay, first
said
of all, hold on. Someone has an echo, so I don't know who's echoing, but that's crazy. But no, what I said was that it's not settling for less if your perspective and your standards change. So as in your priorities change. If you don't care at all about your piece and the only thing you care about is how hot she is on a scale of 1 to 10, right? And then you start caring about your piece, you start caring about how much respect you get, you start caring about femininity and feminine attributes, right? Then caring about those things and prioritizing them as much or maybe even a little bit more than her being a 9 and 10 is not you settling for less. It's about the fact that you've adjusted your priorities and now what you think is
you're
at the top of the
settling for
totem
less.
pole is different than what you used to think is at the top of the totem pole.
No,
And
no,
after all that, it's still settling for less.
yeah, it's still settling.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
if
Ruby,
that's
I
the
have
way
to
you see
say
it,
this,
I
like,
don't
From a
see it that
man,
way.
from a man perspective, that's
I
your
think
a woman.
anyone.
But from a man perspective, at the end of the day, all that what you said, you right. I'm not challenging what you're saying, but at the end, you still settling for less.
It
Yeah.
depends on the man, though, right? For
No,
you,
all
that would be
men.
settling for
All
less.
men.
No,
That's
that's
all
not
men.
true. You can't. Men are not a monolith, and you don't
Yeah,
state
in
for
this
all
we
men.
are.
but
In
here's
that
the
we are.
factor, Ruby,
But
though.
it's
Here's another
absolutely not
factor, though.
true.
What does
Yeah,
the
it is.
market says? See, the market
Right.
always tells us men that we have to have this, that, and that, all that stuff. We have to be a ready-made man and everything. And we don't fit those minutes. We have to spend years of trying to get that, try to get a woman's attention. That takes about a year for most men.
You ain't gotta
But
spend
when we
years
tell the
getting
market for women and everything, this is when we get pushback like crazy.
But here's the thing about that, right? Is for all
That's
of the
something else.
bullshit that we're getting and all the discussion we're having with all these single people, who's actually married? Who's actually getting married and staying married? Right? Is it all these men who are making $120,000 a year and all these women who are tens? No, it's not. Right? So the fact of the matter is, while we
Actually,
do
there's a
have
percentage of
absolutely
men
people
that make
out there,
125,000 a year
a
are
very
married.
small
Yeah,
percentage,
she
a
was
very
just
small
being
Exactly.
percentage,
facetious.
right?
But
So
Wait,
there's
what you
also
saying?
not a large percentage of average men not married either, too. You know, they will
no,
fight
that's
to stay
exactly who's
married.
getting married.
Huh?
That's
They're
exactly
getting
the
married, but
majority
who's
of the people
initiating the
getting married
divorces,
are
though?
average.
But who's
Right.
initiating the divorces, though? The
How does
women.
that actually answer the question of, again, who's getting married?
Yeah, but average dudes ain't got choices like those $100,000 guys you talking
Exactly.
about, I assume.
Right. But what we're talking about, again, right, is for all of the average people who are here having all these discussions about their standards and they're only going to go for this, that, and the next thing and blah, 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 these single people talking. The fact of the matter is, right, that the people who are getting married do not fit into these fantastical top 1% molds. They just don't.
They get married because they ain't got no choice. It ain't like
Really.
if you got
Since
mad
There's
when?
choice.
different
No,
reasons, though, too.
In the
if you got a
Western
Hold
world,
on.
we
million,
have no choice.
if you got a million on you, you're gonna have more choices than if you only making 50 grand. So
That's
of
a
How
You
can
course.
fact.
marry more than
how in the
once.
That's a
Western
fact.
world do we
So
not have choice?
are
Explain.
you kidding? Okay,
That's
because
why
you
you
talk
gotta
about
get your money up.
Some of those 1%ers remarried more than once, even more than twice. So they got the funds to afford to
Yeah.
get married multiple times like that.
They
yeah,
also
you
understand
break
the
up one
value
time
of
as a regular
marriage,
nigga,
but you're
you
not
under the
answering the
grave.
question.
Do they
The
understand the
That's
value
question
of
the
marriage?
question.
Based on who attributes of what values of marriage.
the question is, who
Their
doesn't
value
have
different
choice
how
in the
they see
Western
things.
world?
How a person that don't make six figures see value in marriage.
But you're
Okay,
not
guys,
really.
go ahead,
Sorry,
Ruby,
go
and
ahead.
then I'm
I
gonna
was just
read
gonna
the
say,
super chat.
I'm not hearing the answer to where we do not have choice in the Western world, right? The
I don't
Western world
understand
literally
how
is we are spoiled with choice.
that's
And so
cap.
everyone who is
Not for
getting
dudes,
married is
for you.
doing it
No,
by
no, no,
choice.
no.
That's cap.
Here's the
Really?
just like
So
he's
so
saying.
men
This
don't have the choice
is
to
what I'm
not
gonna
get
say
married?
also too.
No,
What
no,
the
she.
first rate feminism fought? Choice, right? The
So
problem
men
is
don't have the choice
choices
to not
come.
get married?
Oh, the choices
Men.
come with
Oh my god.
trade-offs. And the problem is, y'all don't want to accept your trade-offs for your choices. Us men do. We make choices, and there's a trade-off for that.
Men
Most
ain't got
men,
So, but
choices like
again,
women.
they gonna get
do
mad
men
at other years because
have
they're
the
not desirable.
choice to
So
get married or not?
hold it. For the
Oh,
trade-off for that is he has
yeah,
to build
but
value other ways to up his game up.
yeah,
But
we
he
know
can't
Everything
that,
get
you're
the
Mel.
saying isn't
trade-off. And most
addressing the
females don't because you
question.
know why?
I'm
Because
trying
they
to
want the
address
game
your
to be
question.
fair.
Listen, men ain't got choices like women.
Exactly.
So and that's why I brought up if a
No,
dude got that kind of money, he gonna have more choices. So the chances that he's gonna be have as much options to marry, he gonna have a lot more options to marry than a nigga ain't got it like that.
but that's not the
So
question. The
that
question
was a
is, do men
question.
have the no? The question is, do men have the choice to marry or
No,
not?
not really, not really, not really,
Really,
not really, not like a rich nigga.
Okay.
really.
All right.
Like,
Can I?
I'm gonna keep it a band.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can I?
But what is a rich nigga? Rich nigga,
okay.
rich man, a rich black man.
They don't.
Is it
You can.
all different categories? Would y'all
Oh,
say?
so rich as a dude that's rich.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know why you
All right.
making.
So
Sorry.
here's what I think. Here's what I think. I
Hmm.
think that, as mentioned earlier, someone mentioned it. The more resources a man has, the richer a guy is, the more options he has for females. All
Right.
right. He will have more choices for women. And on the flip side, the more beautiful a woman is, the more
The more
options
choice.
she will have for men. All
Right.
right. So therefore,
Fact.
what that basically does, that tells you the dynamics of what women see as most valuable in a man versus what a man sees as most valuable in a woman. As a woman ages and her beauty goes down, her options become less. Before a man reaches his peak of his financial or his resource gathering or his resourcefulness, his options are less. Now, it was mentioned earlier about who is getting married. Here's the thing: the great majority of us are average. The
Mm-hmm.
1% is a 1% for a reason. People who make
Hmm.
over a certain amount of money, they are in a class by themselves for a reason. The rest of us is basically average. So who is getting married? Who is getting married? Average persons, who is actually the majority of us men and women. This is where we sit in the average bracket.
Right. Right. Right.
Hmm.
Not only that, then of those 1%ers, they make their own rules. Just like you know how Kevin gonna keep using about celebrities, he don't put celebrities in the same category as people in the business world. They make their own rules and stuff because they got the funds and resources to do that. It's like enough they their own class and stuff. Most average people, we have our own class and our own set of rules and stuff.
Right, but lacking the same choices as an incredibly wealthy man is not the same thing as lacking the choice to marry or not. That's in fact, we're like, are we not in a sector full of men who are choosing not to marry because of the quality of women and because of the damage of legal
You said it, the
divorce?
quality of women. When you get more money, the quality of women go up. You
Right,
understand
but
what I'm
you're
saying?
still choosing. If you can
They don't
choose not
no,
to get married,
it's the
then it's a
laws.
choice.
Listen, Ruby, the laws are causing these men not to get married. Okay,
Right, they're making
that's
the choice,
you're
which means they have
arguing.
a choice.
Yeah, but why though? We're talking about money, and I'm talking about. Listen, we're mixing up a whole lot of stuff. All right. If you have more money, you have more choices. That's just a fact. I don't know why you keep on. Listen, they're not choosing not because of the money element, because of the laws. But if you want to just argue just choice, I'm saying, listen, if like I said, money equals more choices. That's where I'm answering your question at. You
No,
understand what I'm
but
saying?
saying
But
that
this,
more choices, that wasn't the question
oh
originally. And
my
so
god!
I
All right,
understand y'all have
all
gone
right,
all
yeah.
over the place and back.
All right.
Y'all have gone
Okay, yes,
all
he
over the
got a
place
choice.
and
He
back.
got, he has a
You got a
choice
Hold
to
choice.
get
All right,
married.
one
Yes,
at a
he got,
time, guys. One at a time.
Okay.
I
Now
agree with
y'all
that. I
have
agree.
gone all over the place and back. The whole
I
reason why
agree.
we went down this tangent is just because of the statement of me saying that men have the choice to marry or not. And then we started talking about
actually,
the
no,
different choices
I'm
that
a
the one
discuss that also
percenters
too.
have and whatnot. And I
She
never
want to be
argued that
right.
one
Let her be
percenters
Okay,
right.
have
let me. Okay,
more
I'm gonna
Right.
answer, Ruby. I'm
choices
gonna answer. Yes, men have the choice
or
to get
better
married. He can choose to
options.
get married.
Right.
Will someone marry him back? That's another thing.
Huh?
But see,
The average,
again,
most
then you
average
look at the
dudes commit
statistics.
themselves to a lot of females because, like they all saying is, men are the gatekeepers commitment. We choose who to commit to, but is he gonna get that same reception of the woman wanting to commit to him back?
Well, see, that's the whole
The
point, right? Is
same
that
thing with
on
females.
average,
The same thing with
average
females. Hold,
people
hold.
are marrying
The same
average
thing with
people and
females.
living average lives. That's on average. That's what the majority is. The majority is a bunch of average people accepting a bunch of average people and choosing to build a life with a bunch of average people that's generally average, maybe a little above average, to try to
Average is
provide their
like
kids with something that's slightly
60,000.
above average. That is generally what the majority are doing. That's what it is. Like, yeah, sure, there are one percenters, and those one percenters have different options. Just like women who are super gorgeous without children, who are 9s and 10s at 21 without children, yeah, they have way more choices, especially if they were raised a certain way, right? I mean, yes, we understand that generally the higher your quality, the higher your rating in the SMV, right? The more choices you have. But
Yeah.
one choice that we for sure have in the Western world is whether we're going to get married or not. In fact, if anything, men have more of that choice than women do, because men are the
Yeah.
gatekeepers to marriage. So men are the ones who commit or not, right?
But women gotta accept the offer though. Men make the offer. Women do the choosing. That men don't choose. We just offer. So that's cap. Women,
But see, it
women,
doesn't work the other way, though.
women have
No.
way more options of somebody wanting to commit to them than men, and that's a fact. Because you have more offers. You,
Okay, guys,
if you're attractive, anyway. Go ahead.
guys, hold that thought. Let me read this super chat, and we've come up to the
All right.
3 hour mark. So,
Mhm.
Sun is Hot
Damn.
Rock. Thank you. We appreciate you. He says, I think Black women equate femininity to being a dimbat, which is far from true. If y'all watch the Rocky films, Adrian was feminine plus intelligent, and she inspired Rocky to become the champion. Thanks for that.
That's another fact.
Appreciate
Okay.
it. Mhm.
What's wrong with
I
being
mean,
a dimwit?
at the end of the day, some of y'all might not have been here, but like 5, 6 years ago, whatever, BGS was reviewing what's that show that chick did? Insecure, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
And right, so we all hated Issa Rae. She was horrible, and we could tell that her, even if it was like subconscious or whatever, right, her looking down at her man in his dreams is exactly what was holding him back. And then he bumped into that woman. She was soft, she was pliable, she was feminine. She wanted to just pour him with whatever he needed in the moment: sex, attention, encouragement, whatever. And everyone was voting for that woman to win. We all wanted Lawrence to get that woman. Why? Because we know, right, that first of all, people live up or down to the expectations of the people who are either in authority to them or the closest to them, right? And we know that the value that a woman like that can have on her man and
I
on
don't
him
even know
actually
that
being able to
show.
accomplish his dreams. So people were really very much voting for this chick to win. She didn't end up winning. Unfortunately, it didn't matter how great and feminine and compliant and submissive and whatever she was, right? She didn't live up to whatever it was that Lawrence was looking for. So
You talking about
she,
Issa Rae's character on
no,
that show?
not Issa Rae. That when he left, when him and Issa Rae broke up, and he went with that light skinned chick, the one she had a lot of boob. I remember that. I don't remember the rest of.
She wasn't light
Yeah,
skinned
He
though.
chose to settle with her.
wasn't she light
Yeah, she had
skinned?
a lot of titties though.
No,
Yeah, I
no,
remember the
you're talking
titties. That's
about
what I
Tasha.
remember.
She wasn't.
That's
You're
just
talking about Tasha. She wasn't light
unsuckable.
skinned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But she,
So,
he chose to settle with her instead of Issa Rae.
No, he was like banging her basically. It was like a rebound, for lack of
Oh,
better words, when
So,
him and Issa Rae first
yeah,
broke
that's
up.
a rebound chick.
so basically, what happened with that relationship, and I don't want to go too far into the tangent with him and her, is that he started to realize his value, and it was great. Like immediately after that, white girls was walking up to him asking him for threesomes and stuff like that. So like
Mm-hmm.
it was,
Straight way.
huh?
Nothing.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what he found it difficult to compete with his new realized value.
Yeah, and I guess that's part of the
Why
issue,
a
right?
girl
Is
want to have a threesome with you give you value?
Huh?
it was more the hotness of the woman.
So GC, are you saying men don't know their value sometimes?
Well, yeah, many men, particularly black men, don't. But in this particular instance, he spent 5 years unemployed, and then once he got with Tasha, he became, let's just say, ultra employed. He went from extraordinarily low value to an extraordinarily high value man instantly, and as such, his options just skyrocketed.
GC, put GC.
You know what? I'll agree
Wait,
with him.
hold on.
Let me bring
Hold
this
on, GC.
example.
Hold on,
One at a
Mel.
time, guys. One at a
Mel, hold
time,
on.
please.
Mel, hold
Go
on.
ahead.
GC, does pussy make a man valuable?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I
When
think
I
It
say he
sounded like he
became
was saying
valuable,
that.
what I
Go
mean
ahead.
is he became economically higher value.
like he's
So
Yeah, but you use the women to communicate that value. Is that what you were doing?
no, I was saying
no.
that the women came as a result of his newfound value.
Right, to
And because
communicate
well,
that value.
right quick, because his options increased, it was difficult for him to sustain the relationship that Ruby was
Well,
talking
obviously.
about.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Like, like,
because
like
ultimately, what it was
you
is
remember when Jermaine Dupri cheated on Janet? Because
Nope.
when he started dating
Black
her,
men don't
he
cheat.
had a lot of females come down all of a sudden. Because he dating the hottest woman in the game, and now you got females looking at him that didn't
Come
didn't check him out like that
on.
before. So that's technically like a byproduct, if you know what I'm saying. You date a hot woman, but you got other women coming at you.
But
well, no.
Jermaine
See what
Dupri
happened.
is very high value as
Right.
well.
Right.
And he
So
No, this
was
is
when
a
he
little
got with
different than
Janet. So
Lawrence.
I don't.
Like the thing with Lawrence is this, right? Which people who haven't seen it might not know. So he had this idea for this app. Okay, he believed in his app, but in essence, Issa Rae, his girlfriend of 5 years, did not believe in the app. She didn't believe in him or his ability to make that into something, and so she was constantly pushing him to go get some low level whatever minimum wage job just to help cover the rent and looking down on him for his silly little hobby of this app, right? She didn't see its value, and therefore she didn't see his value as an inventor, as a creator.
Bad
um
business.
right. And so when he wanted to put a little of an investment into this app because it seemed like he had an avenue, right? She wasn't about that life. When he separated from her, right, all of a sudden the doors seem to just magically be opening. But that happens a lot when you surround yourself with toxic people who don't believe in you, because you'll live down to their expectations as they hold you back, and you don't even realize what's happening until you separate yourselves from them. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're soaring, which is what happened. So he
Was she
got together with
toxic?
Tasha when he didn't think much of himself. And like she was very sweet, soft, feminine, all those things, but she was a little overweight. And so when all of a sudden this app is going to go somewhere, right? And now he's feeling like a boss and he's actually making moves. Right now he has access to a better quality, better, more attractive
Bing, bing,
woman,
bing,
young,
bing.
attractive, whatever, who believes in him and will support him and be feminine and all of that, right? So at that point now he evaluates himself differently. He's better than Issa and he's also better than Tasha. So he's going to go for better, pretty much.
That's what we tell a lot.
Ruby, you made a mistake when you said that doors started opening for him. I think you meant to say legs started opening for him.
Yeah, man. Golden parade legs open up.
That's one thing we teach a lot of young dudes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Most of y'all are going to be turned down by women and won't see the value in right now. Is why you should focus on yourself, build your own value that way. And then when you have the weight to do that, you're gonna see dollar change. People gonna come towards you and stuff like that. Or for some dudes that go through a breakup or something like that, focus getting yourself together.
Yeah.
Like we see that happen right now with Kanye West. Look how Baby's acting and shit, trying to get his ex-wife back. But you see, she dated someone that's technically lower than Kanye, and yet she sees him.
Everybody gonna be lower than Kanye though.
I mean, okay,
Hey, good evening, panel.
actually,
Mel, game
masculinity wise
changer,
and everything, like
panelists.
put him and Pete Davidson together. Like you would think Kanye still get most of the women and everything, yeah, but his wife got with Pete Davidson. He's acting more masculine than Kanye is.
Well,
I'm mad
I
at
want to point out something that's in the chat. Somebody said that Tasha wasn't fat. You're right. She was that pleasant size right before fat. She was pre-fat, which is perfect. But I'm telling you, it's like one double burger with cheese, and that's it. So you gotta smash it before she eat. You gotta smash it right before she eats that cheeseburger, right before she has that cookie. You gotta smash it, and
You're not
you
right,
have to
Jesus.
leave.
Transform to that moo
No,
cow.
Lawrence left right before she ate that cookie. Because remember, Ruby, he left her where? At a barbecue.
He did.
God damn, GC.
You're horrible, but he did. Yeah.
He left her at a barbecue. He knew that after that barbecue, she was gonna be it. She was like that.
Who wrote this?
This is
Who
terrible.
wrote this? I didn't watch it before, but who wrote it? Was it a male or female?
Issa Rae.
Issa Rae.
So
Insecure, the show
that
Insecure.
is a female's
Female
view
show,
on the
yeah.
So what we're arguing about is how a female views a man's come up. Like she can say it's basically hypergamy because it came from a female's mind. Basically, when he wasn't crap, she wanted him to do something. When she was crap, he's like, I can do better, and that's how females think men are.
Huh?
Am I
Good
wrong
point.
about that?
No, it's not so good.
All right, yeah. In the
Well,
way, yeah.
yes, no, she was actually calling women out for not being supportive of a man's dreams, but wanting the outcome of the dream, right? Because now all of a sudden the app is actually going exactly where he said it's going to go. Now she wants him back. Now she believes in the app. Now she believes in his business and his dreams, right? But she stayed 5 years looking down on him, condescending to him, holding him back, right? So she was calling women out in a way.
I feel like every time a man in this area says the same sentiment, that we get a lot of pushback, especially from women for some unknown reason. When we can understand, like we understand women are smart enough to understand that it's a viewable reality that we see across the board. If it wasn't true, we wouldn't see all these celebrities, these women just flocking towards them for no apparent reason. The average guy has minimum choices, and they try hard. Like that's what makes men go MGTOW and all this other stuff. It's the act of trying so hard that you get destroyed. But those men are just like what do you call it? Survival of the fittest. If they can't survive in the game, they get chewed up. Most men understand that. Am I wrong?
No,
right.
you're correct. Yeah.
But wasn't, if Lawrence was a couch bum for 5 years, I don't think it was wrong for Issa to like look down on him though. Y'all, I think you're asking for too much. Like if you said earlier,
he wasn't a couch bum.
Yeah,
he wasn't. That's
you know what? Yeah,
he
you know,
thought
I'm gonna take what you said, Young East, but he does have a point, like from that aspect and stuff like that. But the other point also too, some men they probably won't hit their peak idea till like later years in life, and there's like in that scenario you use on Ruby with that show. Yeah, I mean, maybe at that time it's just certain timing wise. But for some men, yeah, I mean, to a woman, she wants a already ready-made man or see some type of building already, and she definitely wants to be the one so that take credit that I helped them build for her and everything, like a Build-A-Bear type. You know what I'm saying?
Right, like they met in college. It's not like they met at like 30 something. They met in college. He had this great idea. She just didn't understand. She didn't understand the app development. That takes time. That takes money. That takes, it's not like to her.
Wait, so
it looked
she
like he was
had
just
5
waiting on his
years
hands,
to
but he wasn't.
understand how app works, to research it, and you're
the
telling me
business aspect, period.
Yeah, so she had
Just like
5 years to do that, and
tells that
But she thinks on a basic level.
No.
Okay, guys, real quick, I want to get Jay Monta's take on the subject, and then we have to close down because it's already 3 hours
Yeah.
past
All
3
right.
hours. So, Jay Monta, what is your take on the topic?
Okay, the topic was women. The older, the better. I personally believe that if you're looking to build a family, the younger is better, only because of the health risks that come with it. Older mindset. If you're thinking of older women, it has to be like closer to you, because mentality wise, we understand that both men and women are hypergamous. So there is an aspect of abuse in the sense of women towards men, because we understand that in society, especially in America, that a woman can do a lot of stuff like domestic abuse, verbal abuse, mental, like all this stuff, and nobody will bat an eye if it's towards a man. So that is even more so towards a younger man who's more impressionable. Men are usually held to a higher standard. Like if you see a man screaming at a woman in public, a whole bunch of people will come up on that man and try to stop it. That's the general like a community aspect of it. But overall topic, if you're looking for kids, that is false. If you're just looking for a companionship, then probably true, because they have the same maybe same life experience, same era, music, art, entertainment, all the stuff that you probably grew up around the same things. Relatability, yeah.
Can we ask you, what age do you believe that women hit the wall, and if so, at what age?
Well, are you talking about? I'm thinking of wall as when women try to have kids, and I put in a chat below the women's age of IVR. and fertility stuff. So if you guys want to look at that, it's just from what I can see from the data that past 30 just goes below 50%, and it keeps dropping there every 5 to 10 years.
Sorry, pardon. What goes below 50% at 30?
Fertility. I can't even say the word right.
Fertility.
Fertility?
Yeah. Yes, that word. And the prospect of bringing a child to term. And then we have to also count into geriatric pregnancies. Like there's more, doctors have said there's more complications. We're having a kid older. So I would say, based on the science itself, that, you know, having a kid later in life is probably not good for a woman, especially when you're having a family too, because it takes a lot of energy to raise a kid. And most people, when they get retired around, they used to get retired around 60 or something. And that's when women having kids so later in life now, that's the time that kids are just basically becoming 18 or just entering high school or something, because you want to have multiple kids. And the more you like think about it realistically and put it into life aspect and building blocks, the more it seems like it's going to be a detrimental towards the family if you don't have like grandparents or people to help you.
So let me ask you a question. Why is it more acceptable for men to have kids 40 plus, but not women?
Well, most men are disposable in a sense in a family, because most people look at men as just resource bringers. So you bring money. Most men are working 9 to 5 from the average 9 to 5 job, so they're out of the home a lot. And when they're in the home, they have to they don't have a lot of time with the family, so they have to make time for your wife, make time for your kids, and then go to work. I mean, if you look at the numbers, just number wise, you can see why that happens.
I tell you why too, because men, if they're 30 years old, they don't really want to date a 40-year-old, but women have no problem being 30 dating a 40-year-old. You see
What's
what I'm saying?
dating? What's dating? Because we have to classify dating is the aspect
I
towards
mean, the
usually
whole
marriage.
thing. You don't have to classify it. I just mean the whole thing, just mating, dating, whatever. Men have a problem going up as far as mating, dating with women. They have, especially when we're talking about 5 years and beyond. You understand? But women ain't got a problem like that. They'll date a 40-year-old dude with kids. They don't care, and they don't have to have kids. So that's why the dynamics are like that.
I think
That's
women
why.
should care if the man has kids and
Yeah,
she
they
doesn't.
should, but they don't.
I don't know.
I do think there's other factors. I mean, there's factors that people are unaware. For example, this idea that women's fertility drops 50% at 30 is entirely false. Um,
That's a
it-
true fact.
or the
You
fact
think you
that
got
the
the
term
same amount of eggs?
Facts
geriatric,
about that also too.
the
They
fact,
tell you-
I'm going to finish, please. Thank you. The fact that the term geriatric pregnancy applying to 35-year-old women is incredibly outdated. That our
Oh my
understanding
gosh.
of female anatomy, reproductive, and science tells us that generally those fertility downfalls on average actually only hit around 40 years old.
Nope.
Um,
Happened 30.
yeah, actually, literally,
Let
I've
your man
actually
can
been
answer that.
speaking
Wish he was up
to.
here.
Actually, literally, I was speaking to fertility specialists myself just the last 6 months. So actually, I'm gonna 100% co-sign of what I just said because I've looked very deeply into it.
I speak with more than one also too, and clashing your man can also vouch for this also too. 35. He works in the medical
Uh-huh.
field.
I'm absolutely positive that I'm sure you've done a
They
complete
was just trying to
health check
sell
on
you
your own
lies,
ovaries
classy.
and womb for you to know and understand. So it
Let's do
totally
this.
works out.
OBGYN be
Let's do
lying.
this.
Anyways,
Let's do this,
as I was
Ruby.
saying,
I get you to agree that the sooner the better.
what I will say, and I'm going to keep saying it, women are not a monolith. Okay. And so a woman who's 27 might have severe fertility issues, just like a woman who's 47 might be able to carry a baby to term.
You're right.
That
She's right.
in general, and this is what I'm trying to explain, right? Is it good to turn around and at 35 years old say, hey, I'm going to look for a husband starting now, and then hopefully I can have my 3 kids? No, it's not. So I'm not saying that. However, I think that there's a misconception as far as, women needing to have kids before 30 or 32 or whatever, but there's also a misconception that men's fertility doesn't go down as they age. right? And
Ruby,
so
Ruby,
That's
but
not on the
Ruby,
same
you
page
can't
as
have
a
it both
woman.
ways. Ruby, you can't have it both ways.
Exactly. That's why I'm pushing
okay,
back.
if I could actually finish what I'm saying, then
I
you could tell
thought
me
you.
I'm trying to
I
have it
thought
both
she,
ways. No, well, I just like barely finished a sentence. Um, so
what?
the issue is, again, that as men age just a little bit later than women, obviously, right? Whereas when we're talking women 40 years old, for men, it's more like 55, 60. We see a marked decrease in the quality of sperm and the quality of eggs and the quality
Nah, I be
of
busting
and
at 55.
production of sperm and eggs and whatnot, right?
I
Unlike
be busting.
No.
women, bro, could I
Let's
just finish,
Mel,
please?
hold up, Mel.
Please. Unlike women, men don't go through menopause, right? Like they don't go through a period where they never produce sperm ever again. However,
thank
you
God.
don't actually have forever. And so I think that we do have a lot of misconceptions in our generation, the generation that's out there right now and can still have children. And we don't really know the details. We don't really. And I think that
We do
that
know the
puts us in a
details.
bad
Mel,
position. That puts us in a bad position where women look at, the Janet Jackson, the Jennifer Lopez, who's the one off, you can have a baby at 51 and 47,
I
right?
actually
And
met
go,
a
oh, we
woman
have
And yet they
45.
forever,
say doctors
right?
that pay attention to the
Right.
nutrition
You
level in
should not
medicine.
do that
So,
why
though.
are
That
y'all
is a
doing that?
Able
What,
so
risky
what,
I
what,
mean,
what,
pregnancy.
years
what,
old.
listen, I mean, I don't agree with having a baby as a woman that late,
That's
but
risky.
I did meet a woman that's 46 years old having a baby. And she was
Nah,
like, yeah, it's healthy, it's fine. I was like,
no.
why are you carrying so small? She was carrying tiny. She said she was 8 months and I couldn't even see the bump. And she pulled up her
It's a
apron
midget.
and I saw the little bump, but she said the doctor said everything was fine, everything was healthy. She was excited.
it
So
just
I'm
has
The
to
like,
do
you're
with
doctors
where
is
your
haters.
The
uterus,
doctor
sometimes
lied,
women,
savage.
no,
Yeah,
sometimes
facts.
women's uterus points towards their back instead of out. And so therefore their bump is growing internally instead of out.
Come on.
But the point
It's
is,
a
and this is the
midget,
thing,
nigga.
the problem is I agree that woman probably was very healthy. Some women don't go through even perimenopause until their late 40s. The problem is when we look at the one-offs, right? We look at these lucky people, we look at these 75-year-old men starting their families down. We think, oh, that's the norm, that's healthy, I can do that too, even though oftentimes no, you can't. By the time you get to these advanced ages, right, it's going to seriously compromise your ability to have healthy children, right? So
For
I
who?
think
The
we
man?
have a lot of misunderstanding. Yes, in men,
no,
yes,
men can have
absolutely,
children
yes.
late.
Yeah. So
Men can have children like 80.
Yeah, I feel
See,
like
this is
you're
the thing.
trying to
So you
reverse
didn't
the
know either.
argument and
You
say
didn't know that
Exactly.
Big
sperm
men.
you start
quality
having kids.
differs.
no, I mean, poor sperm quality means that they gotta fuck you twice, but
No,
they can still do it.
not necessarily. This is the
Yes,
problem.
necessarily.
A lot
You
of
gotta
these elderly men end up
have
going
to
yeah,
through
fuck you twice.
IVF.
guys,
A
That's
lot
the
of the elderly
isn't
men,
she trying to reverse the argument
Yeah.
now?
elderly
Yeah,
men,
she
a lot of the elderly men end up going
They have a higher
It makes more sense. Okay,
Elderly.
31,
but
speaking of
31.
not probability.
a
ability,
lot
not
of the
possibilities. I
elderly
get you,
men
Mel.
end up having their wives go through IVF actually for exactly that reason, poor sperm
Ruby,
quality
Ruby, why
in
don't you
the
want to accept the truth?
How many elderly men?
Ruby, why don't you just want to accept
See,
the
you guys are
truth?
so busy fighting me that you're not
No,
actually hearing anything I'm
You
no,
saying.
got a
Just
because
wait until
Ruby,
I
modern
finish talking.
feminist
Challenging
way of
level.
looking
Maybe
at
I
it.
just
Ruby,
sound hella
Ruby,
I'm
listen,
exciting.
only,
I don't
talking,
know.
Ruby,
I'm
you're
only one at a
wonderful. Ruby,
time.
a woman
One
is
at a
wonderful. Why
time.
can't you just accept the truth? Like, just accept it. It's
The game
okay.
is
Okay,
played different between
so
men
All
and
right.
women. I mean, that's
So
what
Melody
Jamal
was gonna
just said.
close down,
Sorry,
but
that's
Yeah,
reality.
God, close
so
down. I'm done.
okay,
all right.
but
So
again, I would
Fire,
like to just
Keith,
say this
Mel, and then
here.
Ruby.
I would just like to say this here. You guys are saying that I'm not accepting something, but you're not actually really hearing what I'm saying. You're just assuming that I must mean something I
We
literally
heard you,
don't mean.
man.
Okay,
All
guys.
right,
No, okay,
Keith.
go ahead.
And
All right.
All right, let's do
saying
final thoughts. Let's start with fire complex, and then we'll just pick people randomly to go.
I think it is what it is. The way the world works is fine, and I mean, I don't know why we're arguing with nature. Just it is what it is. Men, earlier when someone said, I forgot who said it, that women are born and men have to kind of build themselves, that's very true. At a young age, women already know how to carry themselves. Of course, you have to learn how to cook and clean, but that's easy concept. But as a man, you have to fight it all the way up to your 30s to really find out, oh, now I'm a man. Now I went through all this stuff. Now I could maybe start to build a family, right? But I also don't think that we should, in all cultures, or we should all just wait it out until we're ready for marriage, because then that would mean that half of us wouldn't even exist.
Facts.
Mhm.
Most of
So,
us don't. Let me.
but hey, man, good night to everybody, and
Good night.
shout out to you, Melody. All right, good night.
Thanks for coming. Good night. All right, let's have Blue TV. What's your final take?
Well, my shit gonna be echoing because I don't have my laptop. Um, People full of shit and frauds.
Facts.
Okay.
That's it. People are full of shit. Females are
Okay.
full of shit. Niggas full of shit.
Bruh,
The
Blue,
world is full of shit.
Blue, easy on the swears, bro.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks for that. Okay. Excuse me. All right. Next, let's have J Monk reacts.
All right.
Right.
My final
Yep.
thoughts of it is people are different. Everything's not going to be for everyone, but if you're trying to create a community with healthy environment for the kids, you have to come to some standards. A standard we're trying to, in my opinion, in the West dismiss is that having kids when you're younger and more able, and having a family unit for grandpas, grandmas, uncles help you raise it. It seems to be like fading away into the golden times, which I think is a dangerous aspect and really dangerous for us, especially in the Black community.
Yeah. We don't have the grandparents and the aunties and stuff anymore like
Which is
we
why we're
did back in
waiting
the day.
later and later to have kids. Men
And
saying they should be 50 before to get married. Women say they get 30.
Oh, there's an echo. There's an
Blue,
echo.
that shit.
Mute up, please. All right, go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
wanted to say, and that's my point. Where I think people are full of shit because we don't have the grandparents and the grand. We don't have that no more. We don't have that no more, and that's what make people don't know the morals of life and the relationship and kids and family. Don't nobody know what that mean no more.
Because
Facts.
you
Okay,
know what?
thank
Because you know
you.
why? Because
Facts. That's
anybody that's
true.
over 30,
Well,
30
we're
years
doing
old,
final
we
thoughts,
now
fellas.
there's new
Fellas,
generation grandparents.
fellas,
That's the
final thoughts.
problem. We became the new
Final
grandparents.
thoughts, fellas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
All right, we final thoughts. All right, go ahead. Were you finished or you were still talking?
I was still talking. I was
Okay,
just
go
saying
ahead.
like uh older women are just basically the pushback against the social and natural norms that we have. We understand that a strong community is built at the base of a family. So when women argue that they can reproduce at older ages, I feel and I think it's a detriment towards the building block towards a stronger, better community. And I feel and think that the younger generation, both men and women, are seeing this real time because they have access to the internet, the social medias, and they can just see it real time play out. And I don't know if they're gonna uh, make the dysfunction worse or just gonna pull back. It's just a waiting game to see how our culture is gonna evolve now, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you very, very much for coming. I appreciate it. We
Mhm.
appreciate you so much. Okay, Chaos Rain, final thoughts.
No, nothing much. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Who we have? Young East, final thoughts.
All right. What was I gonna say? Uh everybody. That's basically what I said earlier, but everybody should wait till they get their mind, body, and spirit right before they commit to a marriage and commit to a family. Especially a man. If you're a man, you're the leader. Okay, sometimes you're gonna have to go through some stuff in order to be a better man. Like, for instance, me myself, I was not ready to be no father when I was 22. But now that I'm in my 30s, I'm way more ready. I ain't got no kids, but I'm way more ready to be a father. So I say that for anybody, especially if you wasn't raised in like the most productive society. Okay, you're gonna need some time to figure some stuff out. Okay, so that's that. As far as men being older and wiser and still being able to reproduce, like I said, women have no problem dating up. So, like I said, she could be 30 and childless, and she could have a career, and she'll see a man that's 35, 40, and she'll be like, I'm choosing him because I'm ready to settle down. I need a baby. I need a ring. You know how chicks get about 30, they get like that. So every
Full of
man should
shit.
take, huh? This is final thoughts, my guy. I don't know if you're talking to me. Anyway, every man should take his time. Make sure you all set, all ready to go. So that's what I want to say.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Mr. What is it? Nembat? How you say your name? I can't see it.
Yeah, that's Nemhard. Yes.
Nemard. Okay.
It
Final
was.
thoughts?
Yeah, it was my pleasure being here. I really liked the conversation. There was a certain ebb and flow. So I think everybody got their points across, and everybody's points was well received. Well, I mean, we may not all agree. We may have pushback to some of the points given, but I really like the fact that everybody had a chance to get their points across. So thank you so much.
Thanks for coming. You gave some great points. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. And Mel, final thoughts?
Yeah, here's the thing: the game, mating life, whatever, life in general, it is played differently. It is fair to that it give us a chance to compete, but the outcomes is going to be different depending on different factors: your sex, your age, even class. Men understand this and everything, but the problem is women want the game to be played not just fair, but have the same outcomes as the men is. It is not going to be that way. Our outcomes is different from theirs. There are some advantages us men going to have, and a woman's not. But there's some advantages a woman's going to have, and we're not. We have to accept that, take it as it is, and have the best outcomes we want for ourselves. And for some aspects, yes, there are exceptions to the rule for some older women that are able to get married, but that's not going to work for the large majority of them. Even when they have kids, that's not going to work for the large majority of it. It works for some, but not for the large majority of them, and that's the problem. They promote that I could do it, you could do it. No, there's different factors to that and stuff. You might be still attractive in your 40s because you might have your body right and everything, but that's not going to happen for a large percentage of women. It's just like how every female trying to say, I'm a 10, I'm a 10. Every woman's a 10. No, it's not. That's the reality. Every woman's not a 10
Um,
and stuff. So,
awesome.
well,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Mel.
I'm a 10.
Thank you, Mel. Thanks for
There's
that.
some
And
cows out there, man. Word. They ain't 10. Right, GC? Fat woman ain't real woman.
GC is fat phobic.
yeah,
I'm
he's
not
not
afraid
really
of it.
feeling the
I'm
fat
afraid of being
woman.
smashed by it. Yeah.
Fatphobic. And then you gotta say he transphobic. Fatphobic,
I mean, they literally will smash you. So GC might be
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Like that's a horrible way to die.
Remember Orbit?
Mhm. Oh yeah, I remember that. That was a
Yeah.
funny movie.
Hey,
So
fat women need
GC,
love too, nigga. God.
they do, but
That's
they need
intense.
to
Not
also
from
lose
me.
weight.
What are you
So
gonna
what's
what are
your
you gonna ask
final
now?
thoughts? Yeah, what's your final thoughts?
So thanks for having me. Like my final thoughts is the same as my beginning thoughts. Listen, younger is better provided that she's legal. But that's just how it is. Like when you get a younger woman, you get the younger woman and the older woman provided that you stay together. Like no matter what, it's you're getting two women. You're getting the younger one, and that's like a threesome. You get both of them. So to say that the older one is better, no, no, that just doesn't fly. Now I get it. Not everybody can afford a new car. I'm not with an 18-year-old. Not everybody can afford a new car, so you get the one that you could afford. However, when purchasing a car, you get the best value and at the best cost and one that's not going to break down on you. So the newer the better when purchasing a car. And if you can't afford a reasonably functioning car, then work harder, save up, get better. And by better, I mean younger, hotter, sexier, childless. That's it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I forgot to do the contest. Ruby and I had a
I got
contest.
confused. I was
Okay,
thinking about buying a
everybody
car
mute up,
for a minute.
please.
Well, mute.
Ruby and I have a contest going to where the best name for our show wins a gift card. So you guys email me, sweetmelodyspeaks@gmail.com, whatever you guys think we should name ourselves. And the one that we pick gets a gift card. Okay?
Specifically, you're naming the show, not like us as individuals.
The
So
show, right.
the
Right.
show.
Naming the show. Exactly.
I
I
gotta
already
name her rubies.
huh?
His melodies, her rubies.
His melodies, her rubies.
Email it. Email it.
Yeah, email it.
Yeah,
I
email
kind of
it.
like that.
I'm
Win,
just
win, you
messing
never
with
know.
you. Y'all
I
throwing them a
kind
good.
of like that. Yeah. So make sure you guys email it, sweetmelodyspeaks@gmail.com. And I have to make a new email with Ruby and I's name in it.
You said his Melanie's are rubies.
Yeah, they kind of like that.
His melodies, her rubies. That sounds good.
Fellas,
His
email it.
melody.
Okay,
Email it.
email.
Well, I already
His
Don't
said
just
it, so I
support
gotta.
someone else's
That's
idea.
mine.
Only one of y'all can win the gift card.
That's
So
mine.
So
That's mine right there.
Wait,
email it.
email it to me, sweetmelodyspeaks@gmail.com.
okay, son, he just asked a question. So what is it about? Basically, if you could tell, first of all, we are anti-echo chambers. There will be no echo chambers. Me and Melody are only going to cover topics that we disagree on. And it's so that way we can really have an actual level-headed, no disrespect, no ridiculousness conversation and really play out these discussions. And, first me and Melody, we address it. We come with our points of view, then we open up the panel to let everybody come in and speak their piece on whatever the subject is. And the only real qualification to any subject is that we have to disagree on it. Could be on dating, relationships, it could be on anything really. So if you have an idea for a show, you could also email that, right?
Yep. Sweetmelodyspeaks@gmail.com, guys. Email us. There was something else I wanted to say. Oh yeah, we have something coming up in the future. I think I said this already. Maybe April and May. It's a project. If anyone wants to be a panelist on our show, let us know because we're looking for a few people. We want a couple of guys, a couple of girls. Everybody's doing that kind of Lapeef style thing now. So I kind of want that. So if you want to be a permanent person on my show, just email me, sweetmelodyspeaks@gmail.com, and I'll choose. We will choose.
I had to do like a network thing, all right?
Yeah, we're doing a network. I'm changing my name too to SMS Network. So
yes,
the LLC up then.
No, I am. I'm gonna LLC it and everything, and it's pretty much gonna be, a thing. Ruby's gonna go live by herself sometimes. GC will go live by himself sometimes. I'll go live by myself sometimes. We'll have the panels. It's gonna be pretty cool. So look out for that.
And especially
Also,
if you have an original perspective, you don't have to agree with anyone up here. If you think that your perspective is original and you normally disagree with everybody, please apply because that's what we want. We want a variety of different perspectives coming from all over the place so we can really cover these subjects fairly. So
exactly. So, just hit us up, let us know. What he say? What name won a competition? None yet because nobody participated. Just one person.
I already won, man.
2 people participated.
I won already.
So just email me. Email us at sweetmelodyspeaks@gmail.com.
Miles announced the winner on Friday and give some time.
Also, very, very soon, Ruby and I will be camming up. So that's another thing that we have coming up. We're going to be cammed up, just us two talking to you guys.
You just gave the secrets. Shh.
Thirst
That
trap.
wasn't the secret, but
you break the rule of suspense.
Back and forth to
Melly, what you gonna wear?
Melly,
believe me.
You might get your
thirst.
Thirst
You
alert.
guys will be
Thirst
happy
alert.
about it.
I can't be thirsty.
All right, final thoughts.
Well, I would say
the
what
final
y'all
thought.
should do go back and forth
Mel,
on YouTube to Instagram also too. Do interviews
You
on
never know.
Instagram also
So
too. You maximize your social media too to grow your following.
who's
Oh
Twitter,
yeah, we
Instagram,
will.
TikTok.
who's
Yeah.
We're
who's
gonna
next for
have a
final
channel
thoughts?
with both of us on it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
mean,
like
a Instagram channel.
following off
do
social
that.
media also too, back and forth.
Who's
Oh, and
turning
we're
to
gonna
the final
also make a
thoughts?
commercial. We're gonna have a commercial for every Tuesday at 8 o'clock.
Show
So
Mhm.
that.
make sure you guys
She giving away the whole
look
secret.
forward to that.
Hey, listen, y'all don't know. For everything we're giving away, there's still stuff nobody said nothing about. So y'all
Right.
gotta keep tuning in to see. There's gonna be some good stuff. Trust me, we got some crazy plans. Like it's gonna be good. We've really been putting things together. We don't want to just throw out some crap, right? So trust me, we're
Exactly.
developing. Mhm.
Right.
Word.
Hey, well, guys, it was nice talking to you. I'll see you guys next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Peace.
Yes,
Peace.
please.
Bye.
Cheers, y'all.